A miracle is when something happens out of the natural. The natural said I was dead. Who did they call on to change that? They called on Jesus. Even when I went to my primary care doctor 2.5 weeks after, he was looking at my charts and he came across a couple medicines, but he said their names and he was like, yeah, they was really sending you away. The medicines that they were giving me were preparing me for death.
For the people that don't know, tell them what you've experienced.
I was on a fast, a 7-day fast. By day 3, I'm feeling real weak. I do this all the time. Like my body's used to fasting. So why do I feel like this? Day 7, I wake up and man, I just feel like terrible. And then about 60 seconds later, I was like, call ambulance.
Really?
That's why I'm like, call ambulance. And I was like, I'm dying. I knew it, I could feel it. And so when she got there, I gave her all the passwords.
We have spent so much time in the hospital over the last 10 years, and it's never been, I'm gonna give you the passwords, because it's like, that's just a part of our regular program. Sickle cell crisis arise at, random times, and we go to the hospital, he gets hydration, he gets pain management, and we go home. So it's like, okay, you give me the passwords. I don't even think I understood at that moment what was really happening.
That he was literally settling his affairs.
Yeah.
What were the doctors telling you it was?
They didn't know. We had every doctor's team come in there from every department. None of them knew. They couldn't figure it out.
This is how I know that Jesus is real. This is how I know. I think they had like a little pen and pad because I had a ventilator, so I couldn't talk. I'm writing on the pad.
He put, I heart you. So I'm kissing him. I'm like, I love you too. And then he was like shaking his head. And I'm like, okay, what? And he was like, bye-bye. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he like, I'm dying. That was the next thing he wrote. And I just like snatched the paper out the notebook. I balled it up like and threw it. And I'm like, you are not dying. I'm like, the doctors have it wrong.
What started as a search for understanding became a journey of transformation. Every letter that I wrote led me to this day, the day I got married.
November the 22nd, 2025. Dear my forever.
Forever is a long time. That's how long I'll love you. Those lyrics echo through every fiber of my soul at the very thought of you.
This journey has culminated with you as both the award and the reward of my pursuit of love. You are the award, the honor God placed before me, the recognition of growth, healing, and becoming the man I needed to be.
And you are the reward, the blessing given after endurance, the gift promised to those who refuse to faint.
This isn't just our story. This is for all of us. I'm Laterras R. Whitfield.
And I'm Ashley R. Whitfield.
Welcome to the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Welcome to Dear Future Wifey podcast. I'm your host, Laterras R. Whitfield.
And I'm Ashley R. Whitfield.
Listen, are you still shacking up with us? If you're still shacking up with us, come on, can we get a commitment? Hit that subscription button and subscribe. Make sure you turn on your notification bell so you'll be notified about upcoming episodes. Listen, if you haven't gotten the book, Student of Love, what are you waiting for? I'm telling you, love isn't about finding the right person. It's about becoming the right person. And so make sure you go to Amazon, Barnes & Nobles, wherever you pick up your favorite books, get Student of Love, and it's also available on audiobook. I can't wait to hear the impact that Student of Love has on your life. I've been getting tons of testimonials and people are truly seeing their lives transform. Well, today's episode is powerful. My wife, Ashley, I don't know how she stumbled upon this video, but we'll deep dive into it. But it's a powerful video about this couple and how, those vows through sickness and in health, they were tested. And I had to have them on the podcast so that we could talk and deep dive into the power of choosing the right person, because you never know what to expect in the future, and you want to choose that person that can have you prayed up, that can cover you, and that can nurse you back to health. So without further ado, welcome to Dear Future Wifey podcast. My homie, Harry and Maya McKee is in the building.
What's up?
What's up?
Good.
Oh, Lord, man. How are you feeling today?
Today, I'm good. I'm still dealing with a few effects left from the recovery. But I'm pretty much at the end. I would say I'm like 85% right now.
You're 85.
So, yeah.
For the people that don't know, tell them what you've experienced.
Well, we're 5 weeks out now. End of January, had a terrible, I don't even want to know if I call it an accident, but long story short, I ended up in the hospital. Didn't know what was wrong with me. I just knew I knew it. I could feel. I knew I was dying, and it turned out to be liver failure. I didn't know it at the time, but when I woke up, I found out. But yeah, it turned out to be liver failure. My wife was there, and basically, I want to tell you the whole story, but I'll give you the
No,
short,
I want you. We got time.
Oh, you want to hear the whole thing right now? You want me to go?
Wifey. That's why we here.
All right, yeah. I didn't know if you just wanted the short version. Okay, so I was on a fast, a 7-day fast. It ended at 7 days. I was actually going for 28. I was feeling bold.
You was on a 28-day fast?
I was going for 28-day
of
water
what?
fast.
Just water?
Yeah, just water fast. I had been listening to Miles Monroe, man. He got me hyped. He got me hyped.
28 days.
Because fasting for me, is something I've been doing for a while. So for the last almost 2 years, I've been fasting every Wednesday. So I only was eating 6 days a week. Also doing 3-day water fast, which was normally would be my longest. I normally wouldn't go past 3 days. But this particular situation, the last 3-day fast I did was the month prior, I think.
We did it earlier that month.
No, that's a different fast.
Oh,
that's
okay.
yeah. So the last 3-day fast we did, we were praying for your mom's health, and I remember telling you, I was like, man, I feel like I could have went 5 days.
Yeah.
So I felt really good. And then we did the 28-19 fast. So at the beginning of the year, 28-19 had a Daniel fast, 7-day.
Well, it was whatever you wanted to choose. We went with Daniel.
We went with Daniel.
Yeah.
Okay, so my wife, she goes to 28-19 when she can. I'm definitely a huge follower of Philip Anthony Mitchell. So we did the 28-19 fast, but then I go to Hunger Church, which is Dr. Howard Ramsey. And so his fast started on, everybody had a fast.
It's called Hunger Church.
Yeah. Everybody.
Make sure I don't go there, boy. It's called Hunger Church.
He had a 10-day. It was 3-day water and then 7-day Daniel. But me, I'm a superhero. You know what I mean?
So he thought.
Yeah.
So he thought.
And I had while on the 28-19 fast, I was watching Dr. Miles Monroe, just everything about fast. Because when you're on a fast, you want to surround yourself, like you want to be consuming the right things, not you want to consume the word, reading and praying. So I'm watching Miles Monroe. And he like, 28-day water. He hyped me. He hyped me all the way. He hyped me all the way. So I'm like, oh, I could do it.
He said 28 days.
So I start the 28-day fast with Hunger Church, even though theirs was not that. But I started. And so like by day 3, I'm feeling real weak, and I'm telling my wife, like, man, this don't feel normal. You know what I mean? Like I do this all the time. Like my body's used to fasting, so why do I feel like this? So I'm feeling real weak, and so I know that they have. I don't know if y'all ever had thermal water, but there's a hot spring in Georgia about 2 hours away from us. But thermal water is basically water heated by the Earth's core by volcanic activity or whatever. But the heat pulls the minerals out of the stone. And so thermal water, if you drink it, it can sustain you. It has all the minerals your body needs.
Oh.
And so by day 3, I'm telling my wife, like, I just feel so weak. I'm like, we need to go get some thermal water. And so just because I knew that we could have access to it. So my wife sent her friend's sister.
Yeah, one of my childhood friends' nieces. I was going out of town. I was going to LA for work. And so the day before, I was trying to meal prep and do all the things before I left. And so one of my childhood friends, her niece had just moved to Georgia. And, she's young. So I'm like, okay, tell her I'll give her, $100 if she go and get the water to,
Because it's like 2 hours
delegate.
away.
2 hours?
Yeah, it's like 2 hours away from us.
And I was texting her throughout the day. She got there. She was super excited because it's like a historical ground. So they have gift shops and all the things. And so she was texting me, sending me videos. And then I didn't hear from her for like 2 hours. And I was on set and I'm like, are you okay? The messages started going green. And I'm like, okay, what is happening? And then a few hours later, she texted me and she was like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, what's happening? And she was like, on the way back, somebody ran a stop sign and it totaled her car.
Wow.
And she was like, and the jugs burst in her car.
Yeah.
And I'm
What
like,
in the world?
girl, forget about the water. Like, are you okay? And she was like, yes, I'm in the hospital right now. And her uncle was, her uncle and her cousin were on her way to see her. And I just felt terrible. Like, my God, I just sent this, baby girl to, do what I thought was a simple task. And, it ended up being, I think that was like her first accident. But by the grace of God, she walked away, with scratches, like no real injuries. And so Nene is okay. Thank you, Nene.
Wow.
Yes.
So
But
when
that
she
was
told
the start of what I felt like was a spiritual attack.
So when she
Right.
told me that, I was like, what are the odds of that? Like, he showed me the picture of the car, and I'm like, man, this fast is not going. I'm like, this fast is not going well. So now we on day 4, and I'm just looking around. I'm like, man, I'm so weak. I need some sort of nutrition. And so I had some herbs that they were like 3 years old. I hadn't taken them since I first got them. And I Googled, can you take 3-year-old herbs? And it was like, yeah, they just going to be less potent.
Yep.
And so I took a few of those. Day 4, day 5, day 6, I was taking them. Because I was going to thug it out. I wasn't breaking my fast. I was going to thug it out. So day 7, I wake up and man, I just feel like terrible. I'm like, man, I feel like I'm dying for real. And so my mother, because my wife was in LA, so my mother was on her way to us already because she watches the kids while I work when my wife is gone. And so I called my mom. It's this green soup that we take. And I called my mom. I'm like, yeah, hey mom, I need to break my fast. Can you just stop at the grocery store? I sent her the list of the soup, the ingredients for the soup. And she was like, okay, I'm gonna stop and go get it. And so I'm like, okay, cool. I'm gonna drink this. I'm gonna feel better. And then about 60 seconds later, I was like, call the ambulance. I'm
Really?
like, yeah, that's why I'm like, call the ambulance. And I was like, I was talking to myself. I'm like, are you really gonna call the ambulance before I even answered? 911. 911. And so I called the ambulance. I'm like, I got sickle cell. I feel like I'm dying. Come get me. And like, I called my mom back. I said, Mom, forget the grocery store. I said, come here now. I said, Mom, I ain't gonna make it. You know what I mean? So, so she got there right at the same time as the ambulance. And my little girls, they so funny. My 6-year-old, she had like, I was sweating. She had went and got like a wet towel, put it over my head. My 4-year-old, she had ran downstairs. She's like, okay, I'm gonna guide the ambulance in. They went straight into nurse mode.
Really? Where did they get that from?
I guess they just played doctor and nurse enough.
They
but
love playing make-believe.
Yeah.
And so they have like the nurse kit, the doctor's
really?
coat,
Yeah.
the scrubs. Like they have all the things. So
They
they play
went-
nurse and doctor on us a lot.
They went straight into nurse mode. So the 6-year-old, she taking care of me. She didn't put the wet rag on my head. The 4-year-old guiding the ambulance in. She got it. My mom and shit. As soon as my mom get there, she's like, okay, Nana, the ambulance about to come. I'm gonna wait right here till they come. And I'm gonna guide them in. She guiding them up. I see the ambulance people coming with her up the stairs. You know what I mean? So they went straight into nurse mode. But I guess at this point, my mom called you. Because the only phone call I made was to 911 and to tell my mom, forget the grocery store, come straight here. And so I don't know what that phone call was like, but I mean, what happened?
What the mama say?
So she called me and was like, I don't know what's happening, but Junior called the ambulance and they're outside. They've been working on him for like 15 minutes, but I just wanted to let you know. And this was 6:09 a.m. LA time. I mean, when I saw her calling me, I'm like, what's happening? Like, why is she calling me this early? But I knew, it had to be something. Otherwise, she wouldn't have called me, at 6 a.m. And so I just was like, okay. And then I got off the phone and immediately I'm like, who do I call? Like and that was like the storm weekend as well, like when there was like a big storm. And so even the night before, they were already canceling flights from LA, going back into the East Coast. And so I'm like, okay, in the event that they cancel my flight, because I was flying back later on that night on a red-eye flight, I'm like, in the event that they cancel my flight, who can be there with my husband?
Wow.
And it's not a long list. And I just thought about his friend Damar, who works with him as well. Shout out to Damar. But I called him instantly and I'm like, Damar, what are you doing? Where are you? And he said he was running errands or something. He like, what's going on? Because I also don't call Damar. And definitely not at, 9:00 in the morning. Yeah. And he's like, what's going on? And I'm like, Miss Shanice just called me. That's his mom. I'm like, Miss Shanice just called me and said the ambulance is working on Harry outside of the house and they're taking him to the hospital. And he's like, what hospital? And I told him, he's like, I'm on my way right now. And I just heard, and I'm like, wait. I was like, you gotta get there safely. Like, but I just heard the motor revving. I don't know what kind of car he was in, but like, I felt like I was listening to like a NASCAR race or something as I'm talking to him, like, cause I'm looking at my husband's location. And you know, I'm so grateful for Damar. Like, you know, I told my husband afterwards, like, Damar is my brother, period.
Yeah.
And it's so crazy. I don't know if we have time now, but like later on, maybe we could share it. But me and Damar was beefed out for years, like probably like 6 years, you know? So it was like, and it was only God, because even...
You couldn't tell him because when we was on the 2819 fast.
So it's so crazy. So so I go to 2819 for myself, and then I go to Hunger Church with him. So I'll do the 8 a.m. service at 2819, and then his service starts at 11:30.
Yeah.
And so I was doing my 2819 fast, and he joined me in it. And the whole time I did the fast because I'm like, I have not heard God's voice in a while. Like, and you know, like I need that. Like, you know, like I need to hear his voice. Like I need his guidance. And so I went on the fast so that I can hear God's voice. And the night of the sixth day of the fast, that night, I went over to my sister Nadia's house, my sister in Christ, but my sister.
Yeah.
I went to her house and I'm like, sister, I need some communion cups because Nadia's so sanctified. Like she just got
She got communion cups in the house.
just got
in the cupboard. Talking, here it is.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's some crackers here.
Yeah. And so I went over there because I wanted us to break our fast together, but I was going to be on the plane. But, you know, I still wanted us to, you know, break fast while taking communion. And so I streamed, you know, service on a plane. And she was like, how's it going? And I'm like, you know what? This has been my easiest fast I have ever done. However, like, you know, I'm a little sad because I have not, like, I was fasting, you know, because I needed to hear God's voice. Like, I wanted to know, like, what was next in this season? Like, what did he want me to do next? And she was like, it's okay, sister. She like, you know, a fast, you won't always hear God's voice, but it might be in little things. You know, you might notice, you know, the intimacy, you know, between you and your husband has grown stronger. Y'all's communication has grown stronger. And she was just listening to all these things. And as she's listening, I'm like, yes. You know, like the night before, we might have talked till maybe about 1 o'clock in the morning. And he's strict about going to bed at 9 p.m. sharp every night. Like, so us talking to 1 a.m. was huge. And it was like when we first started dating, like, you know, when you first started dating, you could talk for hours. Yeah.
Hours and hours.
Literally.
And talk with you for hours.
Yes.
Drop that. Why'd you just say that, Ashley?
Well, I want to let him say why.
Well, so I guess if we do get into the whole music business journey on which I retired from, but my company, NPR, so we signed Money Long in 2021. And 5 months after signing her, we had the #1 record in the world with Hours and Hours. So I mean, one of the most viral moments of all time in music. And so I mean, that was an incredible run. But we'll get into it for sure, because I mean, that was something that God led me out of. So I definitely want to talk about it.
Yep.
That's good.
Yeah, that's good.
But yeah.
But you guys were talking for hours.
Yes.
And hours.
And then I went home and I was cleaning, like, you know, we put the girls to bed and I was downstairs cleaning by myself. I usually turn on music, but I was just cleaning and there was silence. And I heard God say, and this is about 11 o'clock, and I heard God say, call Damar and apologize. And I'm like, excuse me?
I didn't do nothing wrong, God.
You know what I'm saying? That's how I felt. I'm like, he need to call me and apologize.
Yes.
Just like you telling me, you can tell him.
That's crazy.
Literally. And then I'm just like, okay, God, it's 11 o'clock. Like, I can't call this man at 11 o'clock at night. Like, and I heard him say it again, like, call Damar and apologize. And it's like, at this point, I'm short of breath because, and it's not pride. Well, I don't know. Maybe it might have been a little bit of pride. But I was just short of breath. Like, wow, God, this is really what you want me to do? Like, I've been asking you to speak to me this whole fast, and this is what you gotta say?
This the best you can do.
But yeah, so I called Damar and, you know, I just apologized, you know, for just holding on to offense, you know, and holding on to unforgiveness.
Which, by the way, they whole thing started before we was even married.
Okay.
And we've been married 6 years.
Yeah, so it was a long run of beef. Yes.
Just beefing for no reason.
For no reason.
He came to the wedding and everything.
He did.
Yeah, he was at the wedding.
Was he one of 3 best?
I don't know if he's one of my. We had groomsmen at the wedding.
For fake. So we had a COVID wedding.
For fake. She said for fake.
For fake, yeah, because we had a wedding plan and then COVID happened, and I just didn't want to postpone our wedding any further because we had already postponed it previously. So I'm like, we're gonna do this. So I drove around to the local parks in Atlanta. I found a park that had some nice greenery behind it. Cut up some lace and some tree stumps, and we had like a makeshift wedding. Like
that was beautiful.
Yeah,
it was
Yeah.
beautiful, honestly.
Yeah.
It was. It came out incredible.
I don't want to say they because DeMar had some petty moments too. You know what I mean? But I think it was mostly my baby. You know what I mean? It was mostly her.
Wow.
But I'm gonna tell you what's so crazy because when she told me about it, you know, my thought was about time. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I was just like, I kind of felt like her, like why would God say that to you? You know what I mean? Like that's weird. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I also was like, yeah, about time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But okay, so go ahead. I'm sorry.
So
what year was this?
This was early January.
This was early in January.
That was just this year
Yes,
that you called him.
So during the 2819 fast was like January, the top of January, first week of January.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so first week of January. So I guess January 6th.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
the
this was
first
January
week of January,
6th.
6 days in, that's when you called him.
Yeah, that's when she called and spoke to him. But what was crazy about that and about the whole thing is like God knew what was going on.
Yeah.
Because again, the first person she called was Amara, which is somebody she never speaks to. You know what I mean? And so that apology,
he primed it for when she called the next time.
Wow.
which is crazy because Damar lives on the south side. I live on the north side. I went to North Side Hospital. Damar beat the ambulance to the hospital.
Really?
The first person I saw.
Wow.
The first person I saw when I went through the door was Damar. And of course, I don't know none of what's going on with her. I'm just in my head like, this dude's, how did Damar get here? You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because I don't know, what happened with her calling. All I know is when I come through the hospital doors, Damar bursting through. And I'm like, how he beat the ambulance? Like, I'm in my head, I'm like, how you beat the ambulance? How you get here? You know what I mean? Yeah. But okay, babe, I'm sorry, I don't interrupt you.
No, so that was it. Like, God is just so good. Because never in a million years did I think that I owed, Damar an apology.
How did he receive it?
He received it. He said thank you. He said he appreciated it. Because I apologized to him and his fiance who wasn't there at the time, and he was just like, he would share that with her. And yeah, that was it.
So when I get to the hospital, it is January 22nd. And so that first day, I know Damar was there, her mother was there, but did you get there on the 22nd or the 23rd? So
I got there the night of the 22nd. My flight didn't land until maybe like 11 p.m. And so once it landed, I had to get my luggage. And so I got to the hospital around 12:30.
And you in LA, so what do you do for a living?
Digital strategy. So I essentially create ads and build brand awareness for companies.
You see, you was on a set. So it was a set for like a commercial shoot or something?
Yes, it was a set for a company called Mac Collection. They sell women's wear.
And so the first day there, you get a call.
Yes. Yes. And so my husband, has sickle cell. So like we, over the course of the last 10 years, we have spent, many a days, nights in the hospital. But I don't know, it felt different this time because usually it's like, okay, he's in the hospital. I go to the hospital. I call my mom. She stays at the house with the girls and that's that. But it was just something about, you know what? It was the fact that he called the ambulance because my husband is
gonna thug it out.
A soldier, yes, he's gonna thug it out for sure.
Gonna thug out a fast. He's gonna thug out crisis and everything.
Yes, and so I knew with her saying that he called the ambulance that it was different and it was something serious, and that's what made me call Damar, and that's what was so scary, you know, to the point to where I even called my mom. My mother lives 3 hours away, and I'm like, Mom, I can't get there until midnight. And Damar has a young daughter. And I'm like, you know, Damar has been at the hospital for the last hour, but I don't know how long he's going to be able to stay there. But I need for you to get to the hospital until I'm able to get there. And my mom made his green soup that he was talking about. And she got on the road and she stayed with him in the hospital until I got there.
3 hours.
Yes.
Yeah, she drove those hours. And from what I remember, first of all, I remember very fondly Damar and her mom. I just remember enjoying them being there. You know, I don't remember what we was doing or what we was talking about, but that's the feeling I get. Yeah. But then I know when she got there, I remember, I'm very healthy. You know, I've been on my health journey for, you know, I think 12 years now. And so the thing that I don't know if people may not realize, when you do eat very clean, your body becomes very sensitive. And so you'll pick up on things faster, or one thing that you drink that's outside of your diet, you'll feel it in your body. And so I truly felt, I was like, I'm dying. I knew it, I could feel it. And so when she got there, I gave her all the passwords. Even before she got there, I remember there was, I'm going through my head like what am I holding on to that guy would find wrong? And so the only thing I could think of is only one thing, and it was a business deal. And I was like, you know what? Let me text both of them. It's two people, my partners, and I text both of them like, yo, I know we've been going back and forth, but I think God want me to do it this way. We're gonna do it like this, because that was like the only thing I could think of that God might hold against me, like because he had been talking to me about that, like, you know, you need to do it like this. You know what I mean? And so I texted them, and that was before she got there. And then when she got there, I said, okay, I'm gonna give you all the passwords. I'm gonna give you everything, because I don't think I'm gonna make it. You know what I mean? And I didn't even know what was wrong.
And he didn't say that he wasn't going to make it at that time. He just was like, he wanted to give me the passwords, which again, we have spent so much time in the hospital over the last 10 years. And it's never been, I'm going to give you the passwords, because it's like, that's just a part of our regular program. Like crisis, sickle cell crisis arise at, you know, random times. And, you know, we go to the hospital, he gets hydration, he gets pain management, and we go home. So it's like, okay, you give me the passwords, like, you know, I don't even think I understood at that moment what was really happening.
That he was literally settling his affairs.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And
so, but what were you thinking though?
I mean, what I was thinking was I need to. First, like I said, the first thing I was thinking is what could God hold against me? Like what have I not done? You know, to please God. Like what would be blocking me from entering heaven? That was my first one. The only thing I can think of was the business deal. And so I text both of them, hey man, God told me to do this. We gonna do it like this. I want to get up there. And he be like, hey. So that was literally the only thing I could think of. And then with her, I'm like, okay, let me give her a password so she have access to everything. Because I already have a trust. So I knew for the most part everything was good. But I was like, let me make sure she got access. And so I gave her the passwords. And then I just told her to pray. You know what I mean? Because I knew from the things that had added up to me getting there, I'm like, man, it's not physical. I knew it. I said, this is not physical. Like all this stuff that has happened, like I ain't never been weak and no fast. You know what I mean? The girl getting hit, I'm like, why is all of this happening? So I knew, I told her, we just got to pray. You know what I mean? But then for me, you know, she can go into what happens next, because I really don't know. But for me, I pretty much checked out. Like, you know, the 23rd, the 24th, I don't remember being conscious at all. I don't know what was going on. And that's when, you know, she was, and the crazy part, we never really talked about this. Just kind of gonna be the first time me hearing what exactly was happening, but what exactly was happening those 2 days.
He's like throwing up every 30 seconds, and he's been on this fast at this point for like
7 days.
7 days. And so nothing is coming up, but like they're giving him medicine for nausea, they're giving him pain medication, they're giving medicine for him to sleep and be comfortable, but he's like just continuously throwing up. His heart rate is just skyrocketing out of, you know, nowhere, to the point where each time that it would do that, and it's like every 10 minutes, like it's literally it was just nonstop. And the nurse team would like run into the room and try to figure out what's happening. They like, what did he do? I'm like, he's just laying there. Like he didn't do anything. I prayed so many times, like, because again, it was just so much happening with him. And so each time, like, you know, I would be like, you know, baby, is there anything you need? Do you want me to do anything? And he'd be like, pray, you know? And so I just started just praising him and just, thanking him for the victory, and thanking him for it not being what it looked like and, what the doctors were saying. Because I literally didn't know what else to do.
What were
I
the
didn't know
doctors
what
telling
else to
you
say.
it was?
They didn't know.
They
We
say,
had
well, no.
every doctor's team come in there from every department, and none of them knew. They couldn't figure it out.
And at this point, he's just out?
So on the third day, he kind of started like being incoherent. So I text his cousin, I text his mom. I'm like, it's getting scary. Like, I don't know what's happening, but it's getting scary. And I've never felt afraid.
Did you think it was the end?
I didn't know what it was, but I just know it didn't feel like anything that it's ever been before. I had never seen him like at that point, like his whole body was like sunken in. Like, he does not look like this fine man that y'all see sitting on this yellow couch with me. Like, he looked like he was hurting. He looked like he was tired. I needed somebody to get there, And so I text his sister's boyfriend and I'm like, I don't want to, alarm Justina, but, can you just have her just come visit, with us in the hospital tomorrow? Like, I just, I think that he would be happy. Like, that would lift his spirits and, I needed the support.
Mm-hmm.
And so she came to the hospital and I think like she realized like, okay, this is different as well. And he has a lot of medical professionals in his family.
She's a nurse?
That's my little sister's a doctor.
Okay.
She takes my big sister who also lives in Atlanta.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she's like Mama Bear. And so I guess then she texts his cousin. And so his cousin texts me like she was in Kansas, I believe. And she told me she was coming in town. And then literally the very next day, we saw a different doctor. This is probably the 7th doctor that we've seen. And he was like, he doesn't understand what's happening. He's like, but we're going to get you better, brother. And I'm going to get you to ICU.
And so whose idea was it to move me? Because they moved hospitals. And so
we were in
think,
ICU for maybe an hour before we decided to go to another hospital.
A different hospital.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So my first memory from day one all the way to different hospital. So from day one, whatever happened in between, I don't remember anything until I'm in this new hospital. That was the first memory I have. And so I don't know, who, I know that they moved me. I just don't know who idea was it to move me.
So the nurse practitioner who was, I guess, in charge of ICU when we arrived, said that he was...
Arrived in the new hospital or arrived in ICU?
No, arrived in ICU. Yeah,
Okay.
when they moved us to the ICU floor. He said that he was, I guess, consulting with the other hospital. And he was, acting, I guess, on whatever they were telling him to do. That's what he was doing. And he was like, but I think it might be better if, you went to another hospital. Because he also became incoherent in ICU again. Because he would be like in and out. But once the nurse practitioner saw him go out and, I guess the length of time he was out, he decided like, he said that his body was going into shock. And so the rest of his organs would soon follow his liver and go into failure. And so he said that the best thing that they could do was, induce a coma to try to slow it down and try to save his life.
Yeah. So that's the space where, like I said, I don't remember anything. And so what I know now is that, she was praying, my mom was praying, Damar in our Bible study group was praying, my church, my pastor, the lead and assistant pastor, everybody was praying. I know that now, but my first memory coming out of that, we were in a new hospital, and I didn't know I was in a new hospital until they told me, because I told them what I saw. And so I never heard the doctor say there's nothing else they can do for me. I never heard any of that. The reason that I believe that I was dying outside of how I felt is because the first thing I remember seeing was her friends praying for me. And then the prayer that they were saying, it was, I heard them say, because he was fasting, God is going to honor him and accept him into heaven. And so that when I heard that, I'm like, oh, I am dying, you know? And so I
Did that really happen?
No. No, well, they were praying for him, but not in that way. So my sister Nadia, who we got the communion cups from, I called her. So finally God released me the day that he went into ICU to, you know, call on the saints and my prayer warriors. And so I text her and I'm like, sister, I need your help. And she didn't respond, but that's when we were moving to ICU. And then I text her like an hour later and I'm like, sister, they put him on a ventilator. And she called me and she was like, what hospital are you at? And I told her and she was like, okay, I'm on my way. And so I hung up the phone. And then I remember just sitting there and then it just finally hit me. And so I'm just, you know, in the waiting room and I'm just crying. I'm crying. And so I went to go sit down. And as I came to sit down, my friend Nadia came in with her friend and, you know, they just started praying while we were in the waiting room. And after they finished praying, you know, the doctors, you know, called and said, you know, the procedure was done. You know, they had successfully put the ventilator in. And so, you know, of course, I went in the room. She left.
This at the old hospital?
Yeah, this at the old hospital. And so then we got to the new
hospital. Was
hospital.
that a new hospital?
Yes. So
okay.
we got to the new hospital. And I called her and I'm like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm going to go get my nails done. I'm like, okay. I'm like, you know, he hasn't seen his new doctors yet for the day, but can you come up here and pray? And so at this time, he's still in a coma, but he was like kind of in and out. Because even on the way to the new hospital, he had woke up and tried to pull his ventilator out. And we didn't know that until the next day. But even when we got into the room, he woke up for a few seconds. Because I wish I could remember the physician assistant's name. But she was a really funny but knowledgeable lady from New Jersey and very loud. And, you know, she was like, I believe in talking to my patients. So she's like yelling in his ear. She like, Harry, can you hear me? Can you hear me, Harry? Do you know where you at? And he like opened up his eyes and me and his dad like, oh my God, like he's awake, you know, because it's like his sister had actually went through a medical emergency. Not the same, but similar to this, not even 2 years before that, where she was in a coma for like 2 weeks, was it?
It wasn't that long, but we definitely need to talk about that too. But wait, get to
okay.
What did she pray? Because I specifically heard. Okay.
Yes.
I know what I heard.
So she came in, she pulled her oil out, you know, she, you know, rubbed it on me. She gave some to his father, and then she like, you know, rubbed it on his feet, rubbed it on his hands, you know.
What did she pray?
Rubbed it on his forehead. I'm getting to it. So we rubbed the oil out, and you know, she just it was a long prayer, but the part that he's talking about, he just like said, like, you know, God, honor your son, you know, and open up the gates of heaven so that your angels can come down and protect him and save his life, not bring him home to you. Like,
so after that,
why would she say that?
So after that,
she not gonna kill my man off.
You ain't going nowhere.
Listen.
So I woke up for the first time after that. And so I think they had like a little pen and pad because I had the ventilator, so I couldn't talk. Mm-hmm. And so I'm writing on the pad, and I tell her like, it's okay, I'm going home, goodbye.
No, that's not it. So he woke up and he was like doing like this, and so
asking for the pen.
So he said he put "I heart you" like on the paper. So I'm like, my man first words was I love you. So I'm kissing him. I'm like, I love you too. And then he was like shaking his head, and I'm like, okay, what? And he was like, bye-bye. Like, and I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, no, we're not going home right now.
Yeah.
You know, you got to stay for a little while. Like, they still got to figure out what's happening. And then he said, no, it's okay. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he like, I'm dying. That was the next thing he wrote. And I just like snatched the paper out the notebook. I balled it up like and threw it. And I'm like, you are not dying. I'm like, the doctors have it wrong. And so that's what I was trying to get to with the physician's assistant that night. She was like, you know, I know that I'm only the physician's assistant, but I believe in looking at everything. And she was like, I looked at his charts and they didn't know what they was doing over there. And she was just like, basically everything that they were saying that was happening, she was saying that was not happening. Wow. And so you know, so I was telling him, I'm like, no, they had it wrong. They're not. You're not gonna die. Like they had it wrong.
And I told her, I said, I heard the prayer. That's what
Yeah.
I told her.
Yeah.
I said, I heard the prayer. I know, because I'm thinking, you know, she just being hopeful. She being like a wife. You know what I mean? But in my head, I'm like, listen, you don't gotta do that. I heard it, baby. You don't gotta lie to me, baby. You know what I mean? I know what's going on.
The heavens are open. I'm gone, baby. See you later.
It's my time.
So I'm telling her, like, it's
Like
cool.
Fred
I heard the
Sanford,
prayer. You don't gotta,
Literally.
But then,
So dramatic.
but then she told me, she was like, I'm going to live. And then I think my mom had told me the same thing. And so I told her,
I was telling you they had it wrong though. Like,
well, what I told her was like, okay, I'm going to fight. You know what I mean? Which, by the way, when I said that in my head, I'm like, I don't even know what that means. Like, in my head, I'm like, people say that all the time. What does that mean? Literally, this is what I'm thinking when I told her that. You know what I mean? I was like, whatever it is, I'm gonna do it. Whatever. But honestly, so like that's what I was thinking in my head. Like, whatever it is, I don't know what it is, but I'm gonna do it. But I just started praying. You know what I mean? Every time I got to be like aware, as they kept saying that, oh, he's aware. Every time I got to be aware, I would pray, and I would tell anybody who was in the room to pray too. But let me tell you what happened though. So after that incident, we'll call it, you know what I mean, where we said I was gonna fight, I was praying. The next thing that happened to me is so crazy. Like, God literally downloaded like the next 3 days into my head. And so the next few times I woke up, I didn't understand what was happening. I was like, man, I feel like things is playing on repeat. I was like, it feel like deja vu. And I kept telling her, my dad, and the nurses, I'm like, what day is it? What time is it? Because I wanted to see, like, and I'm sorry, baby, this was going on in my head. I'm like, I ain't never died before, so I don't know what's happening. Like, is this what it looked like? Because literally, it felt like things were happening, or like everything that was happening, I already had saw it.
Yeah.
So I'm like, what is going on here? And so after I think the third time I did it, I said, okay, this is in sequence. This ain't just random. Because every time they told me the day and the time, the next time it was in sequence, a little bit later. And so once I realized that it was God, I saw it all. And I'm looking and I'm like, okay, the first thing I remember seeing is them talking about I'm going to die. But I'm looking here and God's showing me they going to take this ventilator out. And so I'm like, wow. I'm like, yo, like, he showed me first what they were saying, because I didn't hear the doctors. I heard the prayer, and that's what I heard. And I'm like, he showed me what they were saying, and he showed me what they gonna do. You know what I mean? Or what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
And so literally the next 3 days, I'm sitting there with a smile inside my head, watching them like, yeah, you finna say this. Okay, you finna do that. You know what I mean? Like the next 3 days, all the way up until the point where they took the ventilator out. And I remember when I first realized it was God, I remember my very first thought. I said, this is why them old folks run around the church. I said, if I could get up right now, I would run around this hospital. I said, my whole life, I was like, man, they tripping. I'm like, now I get it. If I could get up right now, I would run around this hospital room. Cause I'm like, God.
Glory.
You know what I mean? And I always believed, since I was a kid, I believed in Jesus, but the last several years, I had such a strong connection with Jesus, especially after what happened to my little sister. So it wasn't like I wasn't a believer, but to see God show up and do some supernatural stuff, like this man just showed me the future.
Yes.
You know what I mean? To see him show up and do that, I'm like, oh no. I said, man, let me run. Let me run. And of course I couldn't, but I'm like, I get it. This is why they be running.
He said, this is why
And so
they be running
it
around
was
church.
crazy. And I was freaking them out. Because every time I would ask, they were like, what? And even DeMar told me, he was like, bro, I didn't know why you was asking us that. Because I would be like, what time is it? What day is it? You know what I mean? And I was just asking them so many different things because I was confused. Like, why have I already seen this?
Yeah.
But then once I realized it was God, that's when it opened. He showed me everything he had downloaded. And so I was just so happy for the next several days until it was time for them to take that ventilator out because that's when the hard work started. Like, and going back to the fighting. I didn't have to do no fighting. All I did was pray, and God did the fighting. You know what I mean? He did the fighting. But when it came time to take that ventilator out, he was like, all right, it's your turn. Because that process of getting that ventilator out and getting off those, because you start with the ventilator, then you go to what's called an EVO. It's like the next step down. Then you go to the oxygen tubes. But to get to each step, you have to prove that you can breathe. On your own.
That you can breathe.
You have to prove that because the one thing about the ventilator, like my primary doctor said when I went to see him, he said it sets you back 3 months at least. You had to relearn how to breathe. You had to relearn how to eat. You had to almost everything you do naturally and normally, you had to relearn it after they put you on that ventilator.
Dang.
And so it took me 2.5 days to get off the ventilator. Like, oh boy, let me tell you how this test worked. So to get off the ventilator, they're gonna like sort of nudge it to the side. So like it's usually go down the middle, it's gonna come to the side so that you have a little bit of room to breathe on your own. And then they're gonna turn on this machine that beeps every time you breathe wrong. Every time. Not every time you breathe wrong. And they test you around the clock. So imagine every time you don't breathe right. Beep, beep. You know how hard that is to have to sit there and go through. Traumatic is the key word. Like every time you take a wrong breath, beep. And if you don't get enough space between, like basically I think it was 80%. If you don't get it right 80% of the time for an extended period of time, it took me 2 days to get it right. And my father, man, thank God for my father, man. My father, Maya was there, right there next to him. He was trying to teach me how to breathe. Imagine having to teach your 40-year-old son how to breathe. You know what I mean? And he was like, no, Junior, you gotta do it like this, you gotta do it like this. And like I said, it took me 2 days. And it's like finally, after day 2, I was good enough at breathing on my own for them to take me off that, only for them to put me on the next machine, where now on this machine, I got to prove even further that I can breathe. So I think the first machine was 80. This machine, I had to be like 95%. And then the last one, you'll get to like try to breathe 100%
So the
on
second
your own.
machine, what is that doing?
The second machine is Evo. It's the same thing as a ventilator where it's helping you breathe, but just at a lesser capacity. And so
it's through your nose, not your mouth.
It's through your nose, not your mouth. And so it's just like a step down. You know what I mean? But
And you did that for how long?
I was there for 10 days. And man, when I tell you that's the hardest thing I ever.
How you learn to eat again?
So first of all, that was made harder because I was on a fast. And so because I hadn't eaten for 7 days straight, you know, when you break a fast, especially a lengthy fast, you can't just, you know what I mean? So
build up to it.
So I was made even harder. So I know why I was there. They were putting me on the, they had me on what they call nutrition. It's basically they just tube feeding you. So I was getting nutrition, but coming back around to happen to eat, after I got off the ventilator, and I think maybe even after, first of all, when I was on that ventilator, all I could think about was apple juice. I'm like, boy, the first time that apple juice touched my lips, ooh, Lord, I'm gonna be the happiest man alive. The first time that apple juice touched, because I mean, oh Lord, and it was disappointing. When I had that apple juice, I was like, man, I waited for this. But yeah, so the eating was a little more difficult, because when they take you off the ventilator, you have to do the I don't know what it's called, but it's like a eating test where first you got to eat the ice chips. Yeah, then you got to, it's a swallow. You got to prove that you can, eat and chew properly and swallow. And so they do the chips and then the apple juice. I mean, not the apple juice, the applesauce. But I passed that test with flying colors. You know what I mean? Because I wasn't actually on the ventilator that long. I was on it for like 3 days. And so I wasn't actually on it like for a super extended period of time. But yeah, that time after coming off the ventilator was so rough, man.
So when did they tell you what went wrong? There was liver failure.
So you know what's crazy? I don't remember who told me that was what was going on. I don't know if it was Maya or the doctors, but eventually I found out that it was liver failure, which of course I never had an issue with my liver. So, they were asking me like, what have you been around? What have you been taking? Because they assumed it had to be poisonous since I had no previous liver issues. And so the working assumption that we still don't know for a fact, but this is the most likely thing. The working assumption is those herbs that I were taking, what I was told was when they become old like that, they can grow fungi because they're still living organisms. And the fungi will kill you. And so what it turns out, if that is the case, is because I had taken those herbs 3 days in a row, I was essentially killing my liver.
Wow.
Which also, I've been praying forever for God to take sickle cell away because I know he can do everything supernaturally. Yeah. But the sickle cell in that situation, if that's the case, it saved my life. Because I can only take so many herbs because herb or just supplements period, because they dry you out. They dehydrate you. But a lot of people don't know that. When you're taking those supplements, they dehydrate your body. So you have to be very hydrated. And so me knowing that and being on a water fast, I'm like, I probably can only take a few of these because if I take too many, it's going to cause my sickle cell to act up. So each day I will only take a few. Now, had I not had sickle cell, I would have been down in them bad boys because I needed nutrition bad. And so if that's the case, the sickle cell really saved my life.
Wow.
Because I only took a few knowing that it would affect my sickle cell. And so, it was a tough period. But again, I know that, I'm going to tell you one more thing that happened. My cousin, who she was talking about, she kept asking, well, no, she didn't keep asking me, but she asked me, she was like, why do you keep asking everybody to pray? Which I thought was a funny question. Because it's like, what do you mean?
I'm dying.
But
like, what else you gonna do?
This is when I was still on the ventilator. So I didn't write it. At this point, they had made like an ABC and I would point to, and I would spell the letters out. And so I remember spelling out to her, it's spiritual. I was like, you gotta attack it in the spirit. I remember saying that to her, and I was like, man, that's crazy. I gotta tell you this, but I'm gonna tell you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I said, it's spiritual. You have to attack in the spirit. I knew the whole time, like from going in there, and we keep praying, we gonna beat, because I never knew what it was. Never until it was pretty much over. You know what I mean? I was like, if we keep praying, we gonna beat whatever this is. And I had no idea about those days. Like, I don't never remember doing the things that she's talking about. You know what I mean? And that's why even when I said, when I did awake and I said I'm a fight, I remember that moment. I'm like, I don't know what that is. I'm gonna just keep praying, and literally God took care of it. You know what I mean? He took care of the fight. So it was a tough situation.
So your liver just started to fix itself.
Yeah. So by the time I came off the ventilator, the liver had already what do you call it?
The numbers were trending down.
Yeah, the numbers were trending down. It had already went back to functioning properly, and that's where it's God. Like, because I didn't do anything different but pray. You know what I mean? And the other hospital, it was going up, and everybody was praying, and maybe even the prayer where you say they didn't say I was dying, maybe even that one helped too. You know what I mean? But yeah, so. But honestly, it's just like the post that we made. I really was at peace with the situation. Like when I heard that, because as a believer, like you really want nothing more than to be with the Father. You know what I mean? And it wasn't that I wanted to leave my family, but I just knew. I'm like, boy, if I'm dying, I know where I'm going. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm going to go meet him. And at the same time, I knew on the earth, and I told her, it's so crazy. I never thought about my kids. I only thought about her. And I was like, man, I know she's going to be good. Like, I've left her in such a good situation. You know what I mean? She's financially, everything is taken care of. The trust is there. So I'm like, it's not going to be easy, but I know she's going to be okay. And I know I'm going to my Father. So, like I told her, baby, I love you. I'm going home. It's okay. Don't cry. You know what I mean? I don't know if I said don't cry, but that's what I meant. You know what I mean?
I be wondering, why you gonna tell somebody don't cry like that's gonna actually happen? Yeah. My wife don't cry if I die. That's a problem. I met the wrong person.
I told him, you better not die because I'm gonna kill you. Yeah.
But no, she really, she did what she needed to do. She prayed, she kept the faith. She never, believed what they were telling her, which is, I know what it's like to be, the person at the side of the hospital bed, because like she said, my little sister had just went through it, and it's so sad for my dad, man, because 2 of his kids in less than a 2-year span on a ventilator, organ failure, and I remember with my little sister also has sickle cell, and so it was, she went to the hospital for some normal sickle cell issue. I remember her texting the group. She had put us in a group, and she's like, guys, I'm just saying, I'm going to the hospital. And again, when you have sickle cell, this is normal.
Yeah, it's normal.
So we don't really think nothing of it.
I have a nephew that struggles with sickle cell. Yeah. And since he was 7 years old, he's in the hospital getting blood transfusion once a month. At 7 years old, had 7 strokes by the age of 7.
My God.
7 strokes in 1 weekend.
My God.
It was bad. It was bad. And I was just like, and then they tell you the life expectancy, and that gets you very like down, like, wow, because at that time, years ago, they were saying the life expectancy is 30 years old or something. 30. Yeah, and I was just like, 30 years old. And I just would never receive it. I'd be like, no, that's a lie, God. And I'll be telling them to like pray, get your life right, eat right, do all that, which he just still doesn't do or whatever. He's 24.
Yeah,
but
that's what I had to change, by the way.
Eating?
My diet. Yeah, that changed everything for me.
He won't change nothing. He won't change nothing. Don't drink enough water.
Listen to me, cousin.
Yeah,
Nephew.
I went to the hospital 3 times in 1 year. Crisis. I spent, at least 2 to 3 weeks in it every time. I was 28 years old. And that's when I knew I'm like, I can't do this.
They told you 30 years old too?
Well, I didn't think I was gonna die. I ain't gonna lie. I wasn't thinking that, but I was just thinking it. So now we going. So I'm gonna give you the music business story real quick. Then we'll come back around to my sister because that's important.
Yeah, but also I'll say I had a cousin who passed away at 30 with sickle cell. And even once my grandmother knew that he had sickle cell, and at this point we're engaged, she was like, you can't marry him. And I'm like, who can't marry him? Like, it's done, Grandma.
Your grandma said that?
That's my husband. But she was like, I don't, she didn't think that I, understood what it meant, like what his disease meant. And honestly, I didn't. I just knew that, I loved him and that was going to be my husband.
Yeah.
But this year, really showed me what that was.
Yeah.
But also, God showed me who he was as well,
Absolutely.
through this, because like my husband said, he's 40 years old. So that's 10 years past life expectancy. And, I'm planning on seeing him go 60 or 70 more years. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I have SC, which doesn't have that. Like SS has that. Like, so it's 2 forms. One is more severe. SS is more severe. Me and my little sister have SC. Matter of fact, I'm gonna tell you what happened with my little sister first, and then I'm gonna tell you, why I changed my diet that helped change my health in my life. But so my little sister, she had told us she was going to the hospital, and we didn't think nothing of it. But I remember, at some point, somebody, maybe my big sister, told me, they putting her on a ventilator, and now I never had nobody in my family go on a ventilator, so I don't really know what that means, and so I had to ask my cousin, like, what that mean? You know what I mean? And she was like, get here, just get here. You know what I mean? And so I went up there, and they're telling me what's happening with her. They're like, hey, we don't know what's going on, but they put on a ventilator. They're trying to preserve, whatever. Like I said, it was medical terms, and I'm just like, what is happening? But about 2 or 3 days in of me being there, they tell me, like, my cousins, like, because I said a lot of my family is medical professionals, so my cousins, like, they're not telling you what's really going on. She's looking at the charts, and she was like, Junior, you got to understand, she has multiple organ failure. She's like, people don't live with multiple. She was like, Junior, you listen to me. She was like, the only reason she is alive is because she's on a ventilator. The ventilator is breathing for her. And I'm just like,
she's a vegetable.
More or less, right? And so I'm just like, I'm listening to this, and I'm like, how? From what? Like, what happened? You know what I mean? So I'm trying to understand what's going on. And so at this point, I had been all in with God for about 18 months. Like, he had told me to leave the music business. I left the music business. You know what I mean? So,
well, he was about to talk about that. What made you leave the music business?
So God, me and my wife, we went to ILS. That's why my wife is responsible for so many beautiful things that have happened in my life. But she wanted to go to International Leadership Summit this year.
Jakes.
Yeah, it's Bishop Jakes 2023. It was in Orlando that year, which I was down to go to Orlando. You know what I mean? And so for her Valentine's Day gift, I got us tickets. And so I would say that's where I really locked in with God. But the reason that even before that is me and her always loved Bishop Jakes, or at least I did, and she was watching with me. I don't know if she loved him or not. But our whole dating time before marriage, like, that's what we would do. We would chill, kick it, watch TV, and a lot of that time was watching Bishop Jakes. Yeah. And so one of my closest friends, I was down on his farm, man, and he hurt me, man. We were just sitting there kicking it and talking. And I don't know if it was out of nowhere or not, but I just remember him saying to me, he was like, man, you watch all that TD Jakes and you ain't changed. And I'm like, what? Yo, so my boy, so the one who told me, he had left the music business like 7 years before me. He was my business partner in the music business. He produced all our hits, like K-Camp, Money Baby, like all K-Camp, Comfortable, all our big hits. He was a producer until, he found Christ and left. And so, but we never stopped being tight because he found Christ. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? So I'm down there kicking it with him. He like, you watch all this Bishop Jakes and you ain't changed. And that hit me. It hurt me. It hurt me. You know what I mean? And I'm like, me, you know what I mean? And I'm like, he right. Like I'm doing the same stuff I've been doing this whole time. I just like Bishop Jakes. But the crazy part about it, like I had enough awareness to know Bishop Jakes wasn't the problem. I was the problem.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so I'm like, you know, I need to open my ears. I need to open my heart. And so that's how I started feeling. And so when we went to ILS, I went like, okay, I'm here. I'm going to listen. My heart going to be open. My ears going to be open. And Bishop Jakes had some incredible speakers. It was so incredible. It was an amazing experience. But then and there, while we were there, you know, I was like, okay, God, like we finna lock in. Like I'm coming for you. I'm finna start seeking you. You know what I mean? I'm finna start listening. And so through that process of just me seeking, reading the Bible, it just became very clear that the music business was not where I was supposed to be, or at least I wasn't supposed to be promoting the stuff I was promoting. You know, I'm working with Dirk, I'm working with Rod, you know, I'm working with P. Like we singing about sex. I'm writing songs about sex. You know what I mean? I'm in there with Dirk. We gonna kill. We gonna, you know what I mean? I'm like, ooh, that's
ain't slid on nobody.
I'm like, that's the single right there. Slide on them. That's the single. You know what I mean? That's the single. You know what I mean? And so, but it was just real clear to me. It's like this not what we supposed to be doing. You know, like I can't be marketing and promoting this stuff. And I'm fortunate because even prior to me saying I'm gonna leave, like God was already working on me. Like,
and really quick, because I don't know if you remember, but a few months before that, some random woman, and I'm like, lady, but some random woman wrote him on Instagram and told him that he couldn't be double-minded. Like, this is a random person who didn't know him.
I don't even remember that.
Yeah,
crazy.
like he said it to me. He had to look it up, and me too.
Oh, I do remember that because I had to look up what double-minded was. Yeah, I do remember that.
Some random woman out of nowhere, you know, like she kind of prophesied to him, like, and told him, like, you know, like basically the things that he wanted, like he couldn't have them, like he wouldn't have them, you know, as long as he was still being double-minded.
Well, so was you on your social media sharing biblical stuff as well as promoting other stuff? Were you doing both?
I'm pretty sure I was, but by the time I was doing that, I had really already left. I just hadn't announced it. I hadn't announced it public because at this point I'm like a public figure on Instagram, and we can talk about that too. But I haven't really announced it. So, you know, I just quietly I released the artist that I was still working on, and just quietly walked away.
So how easy was that to do? Like
that's what I was saying. Like God was already working on me. Like my desires were already shifting. Like the things I wanted was already shifting. And then also I was fortunate because I didn't really have an identity problem. Like most people, they find their identity in what they do. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I just didn't feel that way. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why I say God really had, it's the same way with going into marriage. Like God had already shifted my identity and what I wanted and my desires. And so for me, it was nothing to walk away because I just didn't, I knew it was wrong. You know what I mean? Yeah. I didn't feel no ties to it. You know, it's like it said, like I said, you will hate what I hate. You know what I mean? And that's kind of how I felt about it. So I really didn't feel no way about walking away. I'm like, all right. You know what I mean? But that was God shifting. You know what I mean? Because a couple years or a few years before that, it wouldn't have been that way.
Wow.
No. Because maybe 4 years before that, when I was pregnant with Elsie in 2019, that's our first daughter. He said then that he felt like God was telling him to walk away.
4 years prior to.
Listen, hey, buddy. So he's trying to say I was disobedient for 4 years.
Very much so. Very disobedient. Yes, because that was in 2019. And I'm like, okay, well, if that's what God is telling you. But I think that was also like a turning point for him in the industry too. Like before that, he had always been a music executive, but he had his own label, you know, he produced all his own music, he signed his artists. But at that point, he turned into like an executive for the entire industry. Oh. And so it was like...
I started doing consulting.
Yeah.
But you making a case for why I shouldn't have walked away. Because
he said you making a case for why.
So what happened? I think I was telling y'all before.
What's the case?
I was telling y'all before I started filming. I mean, before we started filming, that I wanted to start teaching about the music business.
Yeah.
And so once I started doing that online, and again, credit to my wife for making me a popular teacher about music business. Because at first I was just giving out the knowledge, walking around looking like anything. Because I don't dress up. I don't do all that stuff. Like
he has a uniform.
Yeah, I have a uniform.
This outfit and another outfit. Like that's it. Like literally, all my friends know it. Like this, he's good. This he got his good shoes on. But, like any other time, he has the same black. I hate him, y'all. He wear them to church to go pick our girls up, take them to practice. They are probably like 10 to 15 years old, all black, mid top.
Air Force Ones. Big boys.
With the strap on them. Like that, I hate it.
That's a uniform.
Okay.
That's his uniform, yes.
But
so he don't care about
I'll make it a long story short. Once I became very popular on the internet and people started to know the things because I was already responsible for so much, just people didn't know it.
Yeah.
And then even like my artist, like she had put me on blast one day, but even that made me even more popular. You know what I mean? And so like I had just become this popular figure, but what that did was my consultant checks went crazy. And I wasn't even a consultant before that, but every label now wanted to hire me.
Really?
So now at this point, when I retired, I was making 6 figures plus a month off consultancy, period. Yeah, a month off consulting, because I was consulting for every label and independents, because everybody wanted to, have that next hit. And every year, I'm at the top of the charts. I'm number 1 Billboard. I'm number 1 TikTok. Anything you could be Apple Music, anything you could be number 1 in, I was attached to it. You know what I mean? And so I'm at the peak. This is like Jordan leaving after the first 3 championships. Really is what it's like. And so, but again, I felt none of that. Like,
what you mean you didn't feel none of that?
Meaning when it was time to walk away, none of that mattered to me. Like I wasn't thinking about, you leaving at your peak, or you leaving the money. I literally wasn't. I thought about the money after I left.
It hit you later?
My wife hit me. My wife hit me. Yeah, my wife hit me. So
what happened? Did you make a regret decision?
Please don't go to that. But my wife hit me. My wife hit me. That's what happened. So my wife reminded me, where's all that money we used to have around here?
The Lord. Blame the Lord.
Yeah, where's
blame the Lord.
So she reminded me, but yeah, so back to just me locking in with God. That was one of the big things, just leaving music, and then just figuring out what I'm going to do next, and that's what I really feel about this situation here, because that was in 2023 that I
you walked away.
Well, yeah, that I walked away, locked in with God and all that. But so I've been for Christ, you know what I mean? I've been studying, we got Bible study groups, so I've been for him. But I feel like after this situation, he was like, no, I'm the focus. You know what I mean? I'm the focus. Like, I feel like when I was laying in that bed for all them days, they had my phone, my laptop, so I didn't have nothing to do but think. You know what I mean? Like, they took it all, so I'm just in the bed like, okay, yes, what are we gonna do, guy? Like, you just saved my life, like, okay, can we do this? Can we start this? Can we write it? I wanted to make her write a book. I might still, you know what I mean? I hit y'all. I'm like, hey, listen, I need to tell people about what's going on.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And which leads me back to my story. Because I got to tell y'all this, because this was the first time I saw a miracle. And then God put it in his mind to make me one. You know what I mean? I was telling her, God, I didn't need that. I already knew what you I already knew what you was capable of. We didn't have to do this. But so my cousin was telling me, just that, like, she had multiple, like, remember, I had one organ fail. She had multiple. You know what I mean? Like, her organs were done. And so I was sitting there and I was holding her hand. And that's why I said I understand what my wife was going through. I didn't know it really till she just told me. I didn't know I was in there throwing up and none of that, honestly. But I'm holding my little sister. That's my little sister too. So it's like, and I'm literally, my prayer was a petition. I'm like, God, I done left music. I done started sowing and serving exactly where you told me to sow and serve. I didn't move when I wanted to move. You told me to stay. I'm like, God, I have done all this. And I'm like, everything you asked these past 18 months, I did it. You know what I mean? And I'm like, now I need you.
There it is.
I'm like, I need you. And so I'm holding her hand, and God was like, I'm going to wake every organ up. And I'm like, oh, I heard that. I'm like, he just spoke to me. And I'm like, all right, now let's see if it comes through. Over the next 24 hours, hey, this is starting to function. Wow. My cousin had just told me, you don't come back from this. She was because the doctors and nurses was trying to play it soft because they see we all tall. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Literally, they 6'5", 6'6", 6 out of the family are still
I'm like tall. The shortest one. Yeah. You know what I mean? So they softballing us, but my cousin was like, no, this is what's going on. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, God, like, listen, this and this, like, now I need you. And he said it to me. He's like, I'm gonna wake every organ up. And literally after he said that, I was just so excited that he had spoken. I ain't really too many times had him speak clearly to me. And so I'm like, okay, let's see if it happened. And it just started one organ, the next organ, the next organ. Next thing you know, she back aware. You know what I mean? And the people in the hospital was like, this is our miracle. Yeah. The nurses is saying this is our miracle. You know what I mean? And so I'm like, man, like, God is real. Jesus is real. And so crazy because here, fast forward about 18 months from that, same girl that was laying in that bed, by the power of God, come in and start praying for you, quarterbacking my situation because she a doctor. So she come in there with my dad. Listen, we need to do this, we need to do that, because she literally been through it. You know what I mean? So her and my dad, like, that's why I'm so grateful for their medical experience, because like they was literally working hand in hand with the doctors, telling the doctors, no, we can't do this. But they're very professional. They was like, well, listen, we should do it like this because of this. But I credit the doctors for listening, because you don't gotta listen to these folks. Yeah. You know, they could have been offended. Yeah. And my sister,
let me do my job.
Yeah. And so like to see them be so receptive to my little sister and my dad to help save my life. But the point that I'm trying to make, this is the point that I'm trying to make, what I've learned from this scenario, which I already knew. And God, you ain't had to do that, but you did it. So, all right, this is how I know that Jesus is real. This is how I know. Because when my little sister was in the bed and they were saying the only thing keeping her alive was that machine, I called Jesus. I didn't call no Muhammad, no Islam. I didn't call none of that. I was Jesus. And he spoke to me. He said, I'm gonna wake every organ up. And that's cool. You could say I could have imagined that. But then why? This organ came back online. Yeah. This organ started functioning. This organ. Now I'm laying in the bed. I'm telling my wife, pray to Jesus. I'm calling my friends is calling my pastor. My pastor pick up the phone, pray over me. He calling Jesus. He calling Jesus. And you can say, okay, cool, same thing. But no, something different this time. God showed me the future. My wife prayed to Jesus. I prayed to Jesus. My pastor prayed to Jesus. Now, I ain't never heard of no other religion or no other sect or no other nothing. Yeah. You call a name and the next thing you know, that person is seeing the future.
That part.
You know what I mean? I ain't never heard of that.
That part.
Then he told her I was going to live. He told my mom I was going to live. He told my pastor I was going to live. It's crazy. My pastor told me when he prayed to God, he said what he heard back is how he knew I was going to live. He said, God said, I'm going, he wrote it to me. He was like, God said he's going to live because of his faithfulness. And that broke me down right there. I'm like, God, I'm faithful. But nevertheless, I know they called on Jesus. I know I called on Jesus, and he told them I was going to live, and he showed me I was going to live, and I lived. Now the doctors, see, let me tell you, a miracle is when something happens out of the natural. The natural said I was dead. The natural said I was supposed to die. The natural said there's nothing we can do. Who did they call on to change that? They called on Jesus. Now you can't tell me Jesus ain't the Son of God. My baby, thank you, baby. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I love you. My baby called on Jesus, and God said, because you called my son name, I'm going to show him what I'm going to do.
I'm going to answer.
I ain't even just going to do it. He going to see. I'm going to show him. And I thought about why he did that, and it was like, because you can't say nothing else happened but God.
That part.
That's why I showed you this.
Yeah.
So you know it was me. Because any other thing you could have thought, maybe the doctors healed me. I wanted you to know I did this. Because I was like, why did he show me that? Like, he ain't had to do that. You know what I mean? And I'm telling you, I don't got no reason to fake or front to y'all. I was ready to go. So when God showed me, now when I'm telling you that God showed me that, I mean it with sincerity. I saw the next 3 days. You know what I mean? And Jesus. all you gotta do is call on Jesus. Even when I went to my primary care doctor about 2.5 weeks after, and I remember he said something that, because it was, like you said earlier, it was a traumatic thing, and one of the things I didn't realize was how traumatic it was. Mm-hmm. But he was looking at my charts, and he was looking at everything they had did, and he came across a couple medicines, and he said the name of the medicines. I don't remember them, but he said their names, and he was like, yeah, they was really sending you away. Like the medicines that they were giving me were preparing me for death.
Yep.
And when he said that, it just hit how real it was. I'm like, dang, like I really was gone.
And you were preparing yourself for it. You was preparing your family for it.
Yeah, I was preparing myself. But then,
and think about this real quick. I'm going to interrupt that. You said that the pastor said God told him what?
He told him that he's going to live because of his faithfulness.
And isn't it interesting when God calls us back home, he says, well done, thou good and faithful servant.
Yeah.
And so that's the tension that was happening in that moment, is that yes, you were on the cusp of death, and God's mercy said no, and allowed you so that you can have this moment right now, and the moments that's going to keep on happening, the souls that are going to be brought to the kingdom because of your testimony. The Bible says that people are overcome by the word, by the blood of the Lamb, and by the word of your testimony. And so God needs you to be a remnant in the earth so that you can speak and wave the bloodstained banner and yell out the clarion call and say, God did it. I don't care what y'all say. You know, I don't care what y'all say. I am a walking, living, breathing testimony. I am a miracle. And I'm telling you, if you ever want to see what a miracle look like, look at me. That's what you represent. And that's the reason why God allowed you to go through all that you've been through, and to know that you've had riches and wealth, and said, God told me to do it. I'm just going. I'm gonna walk away from it. Listen, ain't too many people on this earth gonna walk away from $100,000 a month. They just not gonna do it.
It was more than that. I said 6 figures.
He said 6 figures. He didn't say the amount.
It was more than that.
6 figures.
Yeah.
That was just
he said ain't the bottom of the 6 figures.
That was just consulting.
That was from consulting.
That wasn't even the executive.
That wasn't the catalog. God has really took care. But again, that's why when I was in that situation, I'm like, Maya's gonna be good. You know what I mean? So
I wasn't gonna be good.
That's right.
Not gonna be good.
That's right.
He said financially would be.
No, financially didn't matter.
Exactly.
If my husband was not here, that was what mattered.
For a second, we gotta talk about Maya and her holding it down while I was down. Because like I said, I know what it's like to be on the other side of that. You know what I mean? And how scary that is. Like, it's unbelievable to hear that somebody's about to go that you love, especially when it's completely unexpected. Because it was completely unexpected with my little sister, and it was completely unexpected with me. Like, I was fine. I had plans. That's another thing. That's why you can't play about God.
Hold on. I want to go back so people can add context. We're going to spend a few minutes talking about this so we can understand, who is this woman next to you? Who are you standing next to him? So how did y'all meet?
Oh, okay. So I like this story. She don't love it as much because of where we met, but we were in LA, and Damar again.
Shout out to Damar.
Yeah, Damar's been a part of the story.
Yeah. So Damar was trying to drag me out the house, but they were going to like a dispensary. So I'm like, I don't even smoke. I ain't trying to go there. You know what I mean? But I'm like, all right, whatever. But I think they need a ride. I think they needed a ride. I think that's what it was. And so I drove them up there. And so we get there and we going up the elevator. And the elevator opened, and she's getting on while we get on. She had on like a Yeezy hoodie? Real tight like this. And so all I saw was this beautiful, this super pretty. I'm like, ooh, who is that? Who is that looking pretty like that hoodie? I'm like, hold on. And so I asked the dude who shop it was. I'm like, bro, who is that? He's like, oh, that's so-and-so from Atlanta. I'm like, what's from Atlanta? He was like, you want me to call her back? I'm like, yeah, get her back up here. What you talking
about? You was living in LA at the time?
I was living in LA at the time. Okay. I was bi-coastal. I was back and forth, but she was living there. She was living there. And so he called her like, hey, you left something. He lied to her. Yeah, my dog. So she came back up there. And I was so lucky. I was fly that day. I had on all white. You know what I mean? I was fly that day.
He didn't have his uniform on.
I was fly. And so we playing pool. My boys wing, man. They let me win. I'm knocking in shots. I'm like, girl, you know what I mean? And so I'm talking to her. And so, I get her number and she leave. And I know from her point of view, she said she gave me her number because she was homesick and she like, I don't know nobody here from Atlanta. But I think it was the swag. I think the all white got to her.
The all white got to her.
I think the all white got to her. And I had hair then too, so you know what I mean? I had hair then, but yeah, so that's how we met. But we went on like a couple of dates.
We went on a couple of hangouts.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay, we went on,
They were not dates yet. We hung out.
So Maya, why you quantify? Why you say it was hangouts?
Yeah.
Because we were not dating. I had been in LA at the time for maybe 3 months. And I really was homesick. And so to hear that he was from Atlanta, just it felt comforting. Like if you have been in LA or lived in LA, you don't find too many people, from your hometown who are like real people. And
I'm real people.
Despite, because that's what I was about to say, despite all of his confidence that he had, he still felt like home. Like I still felt a sense of like Southern hospitality, and gentlemanness.
Yeah.
But I moved to LA just because I had been in one relationship like my entire adult life. And it ended, and I'm just like, I want a fresh start. And so I wasn't interested in dating.
Did you come from Atlanta?
Yes, okay. I did. Yep, I came from Atlanta. And then, the previous person that I, had dealt with was in the music industry.
I took you on 2 dates.
It was not dates.
He says,
I was not interested in dating anybody in the music industry at all. And especially not with all the confidence that he had, because the confidence was through the roof. It was so much. So I'm like, but he can be a friend because he was a gentleman.
Yes.
And I did, I feel like I have a strong level of discernment. And I did, discern that he was like, a good person and could be a good friend. And so I'm like, I don't have any friends out here yet, we can hang out.
Male friends?
Harry, what was you thinking? What was you thinking, Harry?
No, honestly, I really didn't know, what the situation was. Like, I just wanted to see, what it could be. And so we went on a couple of hangouts. But then we was like cool for like, like 2 years. Like
2 years?
Yeah, we never really like dated, or we were just cool. We would, talk on the phone every now and again until one day she showed up at my door.
That's a no.
February 14th, 2016.
Valentine's Day.
February 14th, 2016, she came to my door and never left.
First of all, you saying I showed up like I just appeared, like I was not invited. Neither one of us was doing anything. We were texting, and he like, okay, come hang out.
More hangouts. You can hear the terminology.
I think
on
at that
Valentine's
time,
Day?
It was Valentine's Day.
Yeah, we didn't have anything to do.
10 years ago.
And yeah, so I went to go hang out. I was at that point like back and forth between Atlanta and LA. I had not fully made the commitment and the decision to move back. But we hung out.
And that was that. So we had started dating from there. Had a little off and on relationship until I decided that, I think this could go all the way. And so I think
it was not off and on. It was one off, and then you wanted to marry me.
Yes.
But it was a good long off. We were off about a year and a half.
It was.
So I think we were
a year and a half. Y'all was off.
I think we were off more than we were on because we dated for 7 months, off for a year and a half, and then when we got back together 7 months later, we were engaged. So it was 14 months on. So it was more off than on.
Okay.
Wow.
But yeah, so we dated the first 7 months, broke up for a year and a half, and then the second 7 months, and the reason why I believed I could marry her because I saw how much she had grown in that space. I'm like, wow, like she really, has like become a much better person. Sorry, baby. That's how I felt.
Was it the spiritual part? Is that when you started getting
it wasn't even that. It wasn't the spiritual part. It was just, she had a lot of You know what I mean?
What is a lot of
neck rolling?
The men know.
Yeah,
but she had calmed down a good amount and like sort of cut off some of her bad habits. And so I just saw the growth. I just saw like, wow, like, cause I mean, that's rare to see in people. Like most people, they are who they are. Yeah. You know what I mean? But you could clearly see that she cared about her self-growth. You know what I mean? You could clearly see that she was striving to be a better and better person. And in my mind, I'm like, that's what it takes to be married. Like, how would I know? But in my mind, I'm like, that's what it takes. Like, if we can, because I knew I was always trying to grow. So I'm like, if we can grow together, I think we'll be able to make it in this marriage. And so that was really my mindset. And so I proposed to her on her birthday.
Did you expect it?
I did not. But like he has like, and while we are sitting on this couch today, because this is the most persistent person I have ever met in life. I mean, this man didn't quit. But you know, and even on that first hangout, he said to me that he was gonna marry me, and it's like, boy, I don't even like you. Like,
so why'd you say that? Were you just playing, just running game?
No, honestly, I really felt like I was ready to be, like, when I met her, I knew that I was just done playing around. Really? You know what I mean? And so I felt like because again, it goes back to like those desires, like things were falling off of me that I didn't ask to be taken away. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like all of a sudden, this type of girl not attractive to me no more. Like all of a sudden, you got to be about something. All of a sudden, like I care what your conversation is like. And I'm like, man, come on. You know? And so I already could feel like God was preparing me. Like, you know, I come from a godly foundation. Like my mother raised me in the church. She's poured into me. She's prayed over me. So I understood God, and I believed in Jesus. I just wasn't locked in.
Let me ask you this. But when you said you're going to marry me, was you running game in that moment, or you really believed that?
It was a little bit of both. It's 50-50. It's 50-50. It was like I knew that I was ready, and she looked good. It was 50-50. It really was. But yeah. So I think. Well,
let me ask you this, Maya. Was you surprised when he actually did ask you, knowing that he said that years prior to on the first date, and then he actually he's standing on business at this point?
Yeah, I was, because and like for me, because I had only, you know, been in one relationship, like I felt like you have to show me, and like if you say something, I'm gonna make you walk that out. And so once we did start dating officially 2 years later after our first hangout, I was talking to one of my guy friends, and he was dating at the time, and he was telling me about a jewelry place where he was, you know, shout out to Malcolm and Jessica. But he was telling me about a jewelry place that he was looking at, which was Brown and Company. And he was just telling me like they had some really nice jewelry. And so I'm like, all right, well, he's saying we're going to get married and we back together. Like, let me show you a ring I like. Like, let me show you the style design I want. Yeah.
Let me help you out.
You know, let's get it in the works. Like, if this is what we're going to do, like, you know, let's plan accordingly. So we went and we looked at the ring. And then that was that. You know, we didn't really talk about a wedding or when we were gonna do it.
Yeah, so I know for me, my best friend saved me, because I had also bought my mom a house. And so it was my birthday, but so I was gonna give my mom the house and propose to her all at the same time. And my best friend was like, do not do that. Do not do that. She was like, it's a terrible idea. But so I ended up giving my mom the house on a birthday. But
your birthday.
Yeah, it was my birthday. Because I was thinking like we could just make it all one thing. And so my best friend, shout out to Jasmine, she saved me on that one. But so I was like, okay, well, I'll propose to her on her birthday, because our birthdays are 5 days apart.
Oh,
yeah. Wow. And so I took her to Italy, which was the giveaway that it was a proposal, because like, why are we in Italy? You know what I mean?
Yeah. You know what? I didn't even
think that.
Yeah, I didn't think that.
Yeah. Well, I took her to Italy, and the proposal video still has not seen the light of day. So I decided. And
I'm still mad to this day about the video.
I was thinking it was gonna be a moment. So I had it on video, but it was not a moment.
Listen, tell them why it wasn't a moment.
Yeah, so we was in a canoe. The gondolas. You know, it's supposed to be riding and singing, and so I had booked a private one, and so we get on there, and there's people on there, and I'm like, oh God, it's supposed to be private. what's going on? You know what I mean? And he's like, oh, I'm sorry, it was a mistake. And so we get to going. I'm like, dang, okay, it's cool. I was like, they can do the video. and so we get to going. And so I'm like, all right, as soon as he starts singing, I'm gonna do it. So we rolling him, sing, roll. And I'm like, bro, when you gonna sing? And he was like, oh, we don't do that at nighttime. We don't want to disturb. I'm like, bro, like you killing this whole vibe, bro. They supposed to be rolling and singing.
We don't do this at nighttime.
He like, we don't want to disturb, because you really are driving through, floating through neighborhoods. Mm-hmm. I'm like, bro, none of this was in the advertisement, bro. Like, you're supposed to be a solo singing gondola. You know what I mean? So then I'm like, all right, man, I gotta do it. You know what I mean? So I'm like, hey, could you record us real quick? I give her the phone. And so I get up the ring. So first I had on some tight jeans. And so the ring too big for me to have put it in my pocket. So I got the ring tucked down in, because if I would have put it in my, she would have seen it. Box. Yeah, she would have seen, like, what is this big old ring box in your pocket? You know what I mean? So I got it tucked down. So I get up, I pull it out. Yeah, I pull it out, right? And I go to get down on one knee and I slip.
Oh no!
And so when I slip, because it's the bottom of the floor, it was terrible. The bottom of the floor is wet. I slip, and luckily I don't lose the ring.
Oh, okay.
But at this point, she done seen it. So I can't put it away, because in my mind, I'm like, put it away. But she done seen it now. So it's like, but also I had a speech. And when I slipped, the speech was gone. Like, all my memory.
I'm mad about my speech. And I'm still like, say it. I want to hear the speech.
Do you want to do it right now?
No, I don't remember the speech. I don't remember. Listen, I don't remember the speech. I don't remember the speech.
It's not in your notes in your phone?
No, it's not.
I'm still mad.
But so now I'm just sitting here looking stupid. I'm like, hey, I love you. I'm like, hey, I love you. You know, will you marry me? Of course, she said yes, because these people looking at us. And so it was just bad altogether. So I got the video, and I'm like, I might say this is like a 25th wedding anniversary. That's 20, because she ain't never seen the video, because no. You know what I mean?
He was like, meet me at the altar in your white dress.
That's it.
It was a terrible proposal, but the intention was good.
Yeah, the intention was amazing.
Yeah, the intention was, and we was in Italy, so it's like,
I know you can't lose.
Yeah, we in Italy, baby.
So what year was this?
What year we?
2018.
Because Elsie was born 29. So it turns out.
Oh, it was horrible.
It turns out when I proposed, she was 1 week pregnant.
1 week?
1 week, which was good timing, because had I not proposed, they would have been like, oh, he only proposed because of the baby. So it was good timing that I did it before we knew a baby existed. but so we didn't get married in 19 because she didn't want to get married while she was pregnant.
Oh, okay.
Which was ridiculous. Like, in hindsight, like, I was so upset that I did that.
Why?
Like, well, number one, of course, because we had a baby out of wedlock, and I never wanted to do that. But also because our plans got interrupted, the following year. Because I wanted to have this big grand wedding and, outfit changes, and it's like it didn't happen. So it's like I postponed
for nothing.
Just having that covenant, with him and God, and just receiving the blessings, that
which none of that was on my mind at the time.
It was
now it's coming to focus.
Yeah.
But at that time, I wasn't thinking about covenant and God. I was just thinking about
not at all. And that it's so crazy that he's on fire for the Lord, like how he is, because we probably did 3 or 4 different premarital counseling sessions with our church and another church and therapists and all the things. And one thing that bothered me with him is that he didn't have the relationship with Christ that I felt like he should coming into being my husband. I just knew how important. Seriously, I used to beat him down about it. Like, that was just super important to me. And so I'm just so grateful, just for the favor of the Lord, and just hearing my petitions over the years. Because like that year, because he does not believe in a holiday at all. And so he was not going to do anything for Valentine's Day. And it's just like, okay, whatever, I'm used to it now. I'm going to go get my own gifts. But like, I was so shocked, he called me. I don't know, maybe I was driving around getting my gifts. And he was like,
I went to Gucci.
What do you did? Dior. Seriously.
This is what you got me. And I got you something too. And some socks.
I don't know anything,
No,
dog.
didn't get anything.
Yeah.
No, you know what? I got him the gift of coming into the kingdom. But he was like, you know, what do you want for Valentine's Day? And I was super shocked. And I had been seeing, like you said, like we watched a lot of Bishop Jakes, you know, the years prior. And I'm like, well, I just saw that Bishop Jakes has International Leadership Conference coming. And it's like business and ministry, basically.
Yep.
And, you know, we're both entrepreneurs. And so I'm like, let's do that. Like, that's what I want for Valentine's Day. And, you know, just going there, like, and just, it was like just witnessing, like, just the presence of the Lord in real time. Like, I never seen it before. Like, my husband was literally shouting. He was up there shouting to the top of his lungs, praising God. And I'm just crying, like, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Jesus. Like, yes, this is what I've always wanted. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it was a beautiful blessing, and it's led my life in a totally different direction. And I think about it sometimes. I'll be like, man, like, you know, would I choose my old life or this one? And it's really the peace of this one that I would never give up.
1,000%.
You know what I mean? It's the piece of this that I would never give up. And, you know, and the beautiful thing about it is, like, once you start being obedient, once you start following God, all that money I lost, right? I got it now, but it's passive. Yeah. Like when I was getting it, then I had to work for it. I was consulting, and people was getting on my nerves all the time. You know what I mean? Clients is crazy, but that same revenue, I have it now, but I don't have to work for it at all. And, you know, so now I get to do, you know, what I want to do / what God called me to do. And so it's just like, you will be taken care of. You know, he said, don't worry about what you're going to eat. I'll feed you. You know what I mean? So it's like everything that I could have ever wanted, I'm getting it now without having to do the things that I had to do before. And now it feels like I was doing something so wrong, but in that time I didn't feel like I was doing something wrong. And that's what happens when you start learning the truth. Because Jesus said he's the truth. Yeah. You know what I mean? So when you start learning that, you get to realize, like, wow, like, okay, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be doing that. Even, you know, coming into the marriage, like there's so many things that I thought was good and no issue. Like, this is how we should be living. And of course, she hated it. She always, I guess she'll call it discernment. You know what I mean? She always felt like I was living wrong, even though I wasn't like being, what's the word? Infidelity or whatever.
Yeah, there was no infidelity.
Yeah, even though it wasn't
Praise
like
God.
I was doing stuff like that, but she just still felt like this is not how you should be, which I learned later, and I actually apologized this year for, because Miles Monroe, shout out to my dog.
Yeah, that's Miles.
Yeah, he teaches about kingdom culture.
Yes.
And building the environment. And so, you know, that's the environment I'm trying to build in my household and my family. But from that, I realized the way I was living before was the world's culture. And I'm like, man, I was putting my wife through that. You know what I mean? So I had to come and apologize. I'm like, baby, I guess, you know, you was a little bit right. Like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for how I was living those years, because that's the world's culture. And I should have been creating a kingdom culture in his household.
How were you living?
Oh, man. See, this is going to make the world. They going to love this. Man, we was just on top of the game. Like, you know what I mean? We having the parties. We like all the people who were my peers, who were like, you know, the thing about being in something for so long, and this is why people, if you are in any sort of career, it's your peers that are the most important. And so because we were in music so long together, you know, my people ran Apple, Spotify, TikTok, all of them people that was running that, them was my friends when we had nothing. So we all know what each other look like with nothing. Yeah. Now we got something. What you think them parties like? Yeah. You know what I mean? And she at home with the kids. I'm out here in LA. We stumping. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm giving out gifts, man. You get an Apple Watch. You get like I'm living a life. You know what I mean? We riding in Bentleys, Lambos, everything. My baby at home in her Tesla, praise God. You know what I mean? My baby got to see me on Instagram pushing lamb. You know what I mean? She like, what is going on out there? You know, what is going on? Because like every time, because Atlanta, the music business isn't what it once was. You got to go to LA, New York. So I'm in New York. I'm paying for whole dinners. You know what I mean? Give me
I'm struggling at home with 2 kids under 2. Like in the trenches of motherhood.
Yeah, I'm at Philippe Chow. You know what I mean? We big, but I'm. But there's the sad part about it is like I am giving her a lot of this lifestyle too, but she just didn't seem to care about that. But now I know why. You know what I mean? Now I understand it better. And so, you know, when you, this is Miles Monroe taught me, like when you're in this covenant, this marriage, the first thing you need is knowledge. And that's something that I had been keeping from her for so long. But I will say it was for, you know, a reason of like it. Let me just when as a man, baby, when I would give her certain information, it would be misused. Let's put it that way. Like it would be
weaponized against you.
Yes, but again, this is year 1, Maya. We are on year 6, Maya. And year 6, Harry. We are not the same people. Yeah. And so early on, giving her knowledge just didn't. And so I took that away, but that's not good for the marriage because without knowledge, you can't have understanding.
Absolutely.
And so I didn't understand her. She didn't understand me. You know what I mean? Like marriage is not a walk in the park. It's not lovey-dovey. And I know this from business. I was just giving this same example to her the other day. Like it took me 9 years to have my first big artist. You know what I mean? So I can't walk into a marriage and expect to get it in year 1. You know what I mean? Any business, you're an entrepreneur. How long did it take you to figure out that business, or you got a career? How long did it take you to thrive in that career?
That's good.
We in year 6, bro. Like I hadn't even scratched the surface in year 6 of the music business. I was still a nobody or nothing. You know, I was a little pup. I was a little pup, and so like I can't expect our marriage to be what I you know maybe see on TV or what I'm looking at my grandparents. Yeah, you know what I mean? I'm like, bro, that's 40, 50 years. Yeah, we in year 6. You know what I mean?
Real.
So I had to learn it, but point being, like I stopped giving her the knowledge, and so that's something I had to return to. I had to start telling her my feelings. You know what I mean? I had to trust her, but now I'm trusting a whole different person. I'm not trusting the person from back then. This is 6 years of growth. Yeah, you know what I mean? And so the knowledge to understand. So it's just we're living a different life now under God, like than we were living outside of God. You know what I mean? We have a better understanding of each other. I share way more with her. You know, I'm way more vulnerable with her. But when I was back then, you know, honestly, I couldn't even tell her half the stuff I was doing because I knew it would upset her. And I'm like, why she mad? I'm like, why she mad? I'm like, we got the matching rollies. What we mad about? What we mad about? I'm like, baby, wave it in the air. What we mad about?
Wave it in the air.
I'm like, what we mad about? I'm like, baby, come outside. This the new Tesla. This ain't the old one you had. This the new Tesla.
Come up the little doors and open up like a fly.
I'm like, backyard, baby, go swimming. But no, that's. I'm being funny, but that's really how I kind of equate. I'm like, baby, we live in the same lifestyle.
Let me ask you this, Maya. Were you not impressed by that lifestyle?
No, I wasn't. And like even just like to going back to like knowledge and communication, like I never even knew like we were not on the same level as far as like financial status. Like, because when we first met, like I felt like we was making the same kind of money, and so it was like, so he felt
he
so
never
big.
Told you, he just never told you.
No, he didn't, and so he just, I guess, because he felt like, you know, he had more, and I guess he did. I guess he did. But so he just was so arrogant, and it's like, you, like, sir, like, humble yourself. Like,
she said, I thought we had the same amount.
Literally, like, I thought we was both doing our thing. He was doing it a little bit bigger. But so I didn't understand that, and so, you know, therefore, you know, I just, and also, like, I have lived a life. Like, God has, like, has always, you know, been good to me. And so, yeah, that didn't impress me, but, you know, just more than anything, like, again, just going back to like his relationship with Christ, like this man I got right here, like this man is fine. Like, you know, like this man is like, and he always be like, you act like somebody want me, and do like, everybody want a man of God, you know, everybody wants somebody who is obedient and submits to the Lord. Yeah. That's a different type of man. Yep. You know, you can have all the things, you know, but if you do not have someone that you submit to, if you do not have someone that, you know, can bring about, you know, conviction, you know, and if they are not being led by someone other than themselves, like,
yeah, you can keep that.
Yeah, you can keep that, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, to me, I just was still so irritated and like would really be beating him down. Like, you got to get it together. Like, you know, I cannot be married to someone, you know, who is out in the streets.
So how long were y'all married before this shift happened? Y'all been married?
ILS was the game changer.
2023. Like once I, you know, decided to like really start following Christ and really start seeking Christ, what was really the change. And then, I mean, really so many things that I was doing wrong and she was doing wrong because she followed right behind me. Like she started knocking things off her list. Like she's no longer doing this. She's no longer doing that. I'm no longer doing this. You know what I mean? God started fixing both of us. You know what I mean? And so he's been working on us heavy, and I think that's the key to like longevity in marriage and just having a marriage is like God has to be at the center. And people say that, but like, what does that really mean? And what it really means is your frustrations, your worries, your fears, you have to go to God with that first before you go to her.
Yeah.
Because the way that you say it to her might cause more frustration, and so you take it to God, let him work on it, number one, but then let him tell you how to speak it to them so that they can receive it. And so we really push everything through God. We flow through him.
Or may not even take it, you know, to your spouse. Like just take it to God and leave it at God.
I got an example of that. What? You don't even know about it. You don't even know about it. This just happened last week. Last week, she was in the car and we were talking about this podcast. And she was just nervous about it. I'll just say that. She was nervous about it. She was just venting to me about how nervous she was. And in my head, I'm like, I feel like if I tell her that she's going to be great, she's not going to receive it. I'm like, God, I'm like, somebody else need to tell her. And so she went to Bible study that night. And when she came home, guess what she came home talking about? Baby, you know, my friends was just pouring into me, encouraging, like telling me how great a speaker I am and how I always got a word of encouragement. And I'm like, oh, God. I'm like, that was fast. That was fast. The same day. Because I'm like, God, I don't think I can say it to her. She's not going to hear it. I'm like, somebody else need to tell her this.
And when she came here today, she said, at first I thought I was going to be real nervous and having anxiety. She said, but I just feel calm and relaxed.
And so that's so it's like you said, sometimes I don't even say it. You know, in that moment, I'm like, I don't think I should say it. Like, God, somebody else need to say it. And
my husband does the same thing.
Yeah, I do that. Because she has such anxiety about being the co-host of Dear Future Wifey. She lives a very private life.
I can't tell. Yeah. You are doing an amazing job.
She used to be like, and I was just like, you great. You just gonna always say that. You just gonna always say. I said, so if I say you suck, would that be better? You know what I'm saying? I said, I'm telling you, you're really great. And I said, I'm just gonna stop telling you that. And then other people, somebody was DMing her this weekend and was DMing, you're so amazing, you're so natural, you're so this or whatever. And I'd be looking, and I'd be like, She'd be like, be quiet. And somebody else would DM me, she's so great. And it's so bad now that I did an episode, because when she was traveling a lot, I did 2 episodes without her. They hurt my feelings. They was like, where's your wife? This ain't the same without her.
We need the queen.
I was like, I've been doing this for 5.5 years by myself. Now, and she been with me for 2 months, and then she misses 2 days, and then y'all like, we need her back. I said, good Lord. And I said, see, they don't even want me no more by myself. I said, so think about that. And so it's again, I you know.
They love you, baby, just like I do.
Well, no, they love me better with you now. While we're here, I want y'all to tell me this as we get ready to close. What has been the greatest lesson, I know it's probably a lot of them, that marriage has taught you? First, Maya.
Ooh, you gonna put me in a hot seat first?
What has marriage taught you?
I would say the greatest lesson that marriage has taught me is to trust God, like, and trust God only. And I just say that because I had so many fears. I had so much trauma, you know, going into this marriage. And so, you know, and, you know, those things would just play back, you know. And so, you know, we would have so many disagreements. Y'all heard how he said he was living.
Yeah.
And, you know, and so we would just butt heads so much. And I just got tired one day, like, and I'm like, you know what, God, I am giving him to you. Like, you know, I'm done. Like, you have your way. You do what needs to be done. And literally when I said that in that moment, like, he gave me peace.
Good.
Like, he gave me peace in that moment. And I feel like the dynamic of our marriage has changed. And when I say this, this just happened maybe a year ago.
Yeah.
So we in year 6. So we went through 5 years of, struggling, just back and forth until I just decided, like, you know what, God, like, he is your son, and you know what needs to be done. And only you, can change his mindset, only you can, purify his heart, and he did that. He did it quick. And so I think, like, the biggest thing is really just trusting God, like, because he is the only one who can make an imperfect thing perfect.
Good.
And he is the only one who can give you peace that surpasses all understanding.
Yeah.
Facts.
Yeah.
And what about you?
Man,
what
that
has
was
marriage
good.
taught you?
That was good.
That blessed you. That blessed your spirit.
That was good. I mean, because the answer to everything is definitely God. But I'll give the first advice, godly advice that I got from my brother, the same one who told me I hadn't changed. When I called him year 1 of our marriage, I'm ready to leave. I'm ready to go. Man, I'm going through it over here. I'm laying down my list of she doing this, she doing that. She said this, you know what I mean? And he told me, he was like, before you start checking to what her list is, he was like, are you blameless? And he was like, until you are blameless, I don't want to hear about her.
That's good.
And so he told me, he said, man, what you need to do is start working on you. He was like, you need to work on, whatever you're doing wrong in the marriage. He was like, start there. And he was like, when you get to the end of that list, then you could talk about her, which you never get to the end of that list. Which you never get to the end of that. But what I learned from that, from actually going through the process, like, thank God I was obedient to what he was saying and listened to him. And it's just like the Bible says, like, before you try to pick a speck of dust out of her eye, take the plank out of yours. You know what I mean? So, he gave me that biblical advice. And so, but what I learned from that is, like, your marriage really goes the way that your self-growth grows. Like, you can't make it in a marriage if you're not consistently working on yourself. And so, especially as the man, as the leader of the marriage, because honestly, when I start working on myself and I start growing, guess what? She started climbing that ladder with me. You know what I mean? And so even like when you're with your partner, it's all about focusing on God, number one, because God will cut those things off for you. You'll have to grow with God. It's just like faith without works is dead. They say that because once you have faith, you're going to start working.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And so once you start working on yourself, that partner is going to go along with you. And that's how you know you got a real partner, by the way. They ain't even got to be going the same pace. You could be running and they could be jogging, but as long as they coming along, that's when you know you got yourself a good partner. So as a leader, you need to be working on the things that you're doing wrong, and that's going to show her, like, oh, because when she asks why, you know what I mean? When she knows why you're doing that, I'm trying to follow God. She's a good woman, a godly woman is going to come along with you. You know what I mean? And so that's will be what I tell men anytime I get that call, because I get that call a lot. Bro, she and I'm like, hey, it's happened to me. I know what to say. I know what to say. You know what I mean? And so, until you're blameless, don't focus on what she's doing wrong. Focus on what you're doing wrong, and vice versa. You know what I mean?
And let me ask you this question real quick as we get ready to wrap up. Why do you believe God chose Maya to be your wife? And then I'm gonna ask you the same thing, Maya. Why did it have to be her?
You know what? The biggest blessing about our marriage is the man I'm becoming. And this is not possible without her. It's not possible.
Why?
Like,
why not? Why? It could have been just any Christian woman.
Her good, her bad, her negative, her ugly, her great. Everything about her has worked out for my good.
There it is.
You know what I mean? Everything about her has worked out for my good. And I just don't think it's possible with anybody else. Like, I wouldn't be, you know what I mean? I wouldn't have known to say, hey, Maya, you need to pray when I was in the hospital. Without her, I could literally point to so many things that have happened in my life, and they point back to her.
Yeah.
It's her presence alone, bro. Like, literally her presence has led to me, to who I am today. And so I just wouldn't be here without her. So I think that God put her in my life. Thank God for that elevator and that hoodie and that pretty face.
At the weed shop.
Yeah. She wasn't high though. Her eyes weren't low.
I was not.
Her eyes weren't low. But yeah, everything that she comes with has worked out for my good. And especially even as a father, like, I wouldn't be the father I am if it wasn't for her. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's like everything about me leads back to her. All roads lead to Maya.
That's good.
You know what I mean? And so that's why I'm just so thankful for her, so grateful for her. And I can only imagine the year 6 me, what am I gonna be like year 10, year 15? Like I'm gonna be an incredible man because of my wife.
That's good.
And so that's what I would say.
I love it. Maya, what about you? Why did God assign him to be your husband?
I know
Harry.
the answer to that.
You say you know the answer?
I know the answer to that.
You do?
Yes.
What's the answer to that?
No, don't say it.
Okay, I ain't gonna say it.
And I want you to say it
Why
after
did
she say it.
God-
Why you think that?
So I haven't thought about this, but if I think about it in this moment, the only thing that I can think of right now is to just increase my faith. I have always been a believer. I have Hebrews 11:1, on my arm. That was one of my papa's favorite, scriptures to recite to me. And so I feel like, I am who I am because of my faith. But there were times when, I was in the world and I was not, because I grew up in the church, going to church 3-4 times a week. We was deep in the church. But, as I got older, I kind of strayed away from that. And while I was straying away from that, I met him. And, my papa, we would have our calls and he would be like, baby, you going to church? And I was not going to church. I'm like, Papa, I got the church in me. Like, I know the word. God know my heart, But, marrying him, has just strengthened my faith and made me just reach so far, to try to just stay grounded, like stay at peace, like stay in a place of like have our home be a place of like serenity for our girls, like, a place of joy for our girls. And I feel like, he like made me like, my patience was so thin dealing with him at a time. Cause I was pulling up to the spots. Like if he was in Atlanta, he wasn't coming home on time. I was putting them babies in the car and I was pulling up like the curfew was up. You need to come home.
Come home.
Yes, seriously. And, but I just realized, like, what? It's God. Like, I can't try to make anybody do anything, and there has just been times where I just started to depend on myself. And I felt like at, one point, like, okay, like, this is me. Like, this is happening because of me. And God needed me back, home. And so, I feel like marrying him has increased my faith and gave me a boldness too, just to, bring other people, back into the faith.
So let me ask you this, Harry. What do you think she should have said?
No, it's okay. I don't want to.
No,
I want to hear what you thought.
I don't even know. Like,
why did God have her marry you?
Because God knew I was the one that could handle it. That's what it was. Like Maya is a fireball. You know what I mean? And a lot of the stuff that Maya was going through early on, it didn't affect me. You know what I mean? Like I just kind of loved her anyway and kept her close anyway. You know what I mean? So I think that I'm really the one who, it's almost like, Christ loves you anyway. Yeah. He loves you irregardless.
Yeah.
And so I'm the one who, because I think a lot of men, would have ran,
You think so?
Yeah, I think they would have ran. Ooh. But God knew that I would hold you down. You know what I mean? And so we're going to hold you down forever.
Forever.
Yeah.
Forever and a day. Forever and ever.
Yeah.
I want y'all to grab that box.
Wait, I want to ask real quick. So
Yes.
You talked a lot about transitioning. What is it that you do now?
So now we started a company called Ventilator. So I got the babies now. You know what I mean? So my little babies love them to death. I got a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 1-year-old, all girls.
Wow.
You know what I mean? And so when they were a little bit younger, maybe 2-3 years ago, I decided to start a children's health and wellness company. We were making children vitamins, and that transitioned to adult vitamins because the parents kept wanting to take the vitamins. But now we've actually pivoted. We actually pivoted to just straight children content. Because when we made the labels for the vitamins, I made these cartoon characters. One modeled after my daughter, my middle daughter, Navy. And I knew that one day I would turn those cartoon characters into a real cartoon. And so once I started doing that, and then my wife, that's all roads lead to her. My wife hired a homeschool teacher, and the homeschool teacher was so good. I'm like, okay, we're gonna make you into a show. And so the cartoon and the show started to become so popular. It's like, man, we got these products, but we need to be focused here. And so that's basically what we do. We're the Black Nickelodeon.
Really?
But bilingual though for Spanish and
English.
Well,
that's the key to it. Why it's catching fire so fast, because we teach English and Spanish, so your kid can watch it and learn both languages at once.
That's dope.
And so, my 18-month-old, like, she says both languages just from watching the show. You know what I mean? So
where can they watch it?
So the bilingual show, both of them are bilingual, but the bilingual show is called Hola Miss Luna, MRS, Miss Luna, because she's married, Jesus. We got to make sure people understand. You know what I mean? So Hola Miss Luna, and then the cartoon is called Navy and Ryan. And so we decided.
How do you watch it? Where?
Oh, YouTube. I'm sorry.
YouTube.
I'm sorry.
Okay,
YouTube.
Okay.
You go on YouTube and watch it. And so we decided to just focus. It was just doing so good. We decided to just focus on that. So now we're getting our, kind of like you guys. We I put in an offer 2 days ago for a building, so we can build out our content set. So congratulations.
You finna build a whole studio.
Yeah. We put in the offer for the building. I'm imagining some negotiations, but hopefully we get it and we can close around. I think the closing date was like May 11th. Yeah, so we're building the content.
Off the press then.
Yeah, we're building the content studio. And so
Thank
basically
you.
we're going to be focused on children's content, bilingual. And the reason it's bilingual is because when I started it, my children were going to what's called immersion school, and that's where they immerse your kid in a language. And so my two older, they were going there, and the way it works is they go and they speak Spanish to them the whole time, so that they learn the language quicker. And then we end up finding, my wife found us a homeschool teacher that spoke Spanish and English. And she started as a tutor. She did so good, I made her offer to be full time, and we took him out of the school and got him at home full time. And she was so good. I'm like, man, like, I've been wanting to do this show, but I needed the person. And I asked her, and it's so crazy. She told me, she's like, this is what I've been praying for.
Really?
That's what she told me. She said, this is what I've been praying for.
And that's that's one of the things that I love the most about her patience, but also her faith. And like, we gave her 2 different curriculums. She has an English curriculum and a Spanish curriculum, but she just, or God, just implored her to do her own thing. And so every day they go over the fruits of the Spirit. They do the Lord's Prayer in English and Spanish. They have a verse of the week, and that's something that God put on her heart to do. We didn't even discuss that. That's beautiful. She's incredible.
And so we made her into a show. So her show is blowing up right now. And so that's what we're focused on. We're focused on doing the children content and making family friendly, educational, value add content. And my big daughter Elsie, she gets on me all the time, is why is no Jesus in this show? You need some Jesus in this show. And I'm telling her, I'm like, baby, we gonna get it in there. And she was like, well, you're not doing it right till you put Jesus in it.
That's what she said?
That's literally what she said.
How old is she?
She's 6. If you watch our social media, you'll see Elsie is about Jesus. She
very much so.
She said you ain't doing it right until Jesus in the show?
She told me I'm not doing it right till Jesus in the show. She's about Jesus for sure. But so we are, Elsie, baby, we are working on that. So we're doing like I don't want to call them Christian nursery rhymes, but we're doing some godly nursery rhymes. So we getting in the show, but that's what we're focused on. And I truly believe it's gonna be the biggest catalog I ever built. And so I'm very, very excited about it. Obviously, I'm buying the building. I'm very excited about it.
He's like, for real.
So that's what we're working on now, and that's why God bless us, like with the finances to be able to do so. So, I mean, when I first left, we were struggling. Well, I didn't feel like we were struggling, but my wife let it be known we struggling. You know what I mean? As long as the bills paid, I'm happy. I come from a little bit of nothing. You know what I mean?
Po.
Yeah. So I didn't. I'm like, do you see our house? We're not struggling.
Yeah.
But she felt it, so she made me feel it. but God, I just stayed obedient, because people would call me all the time, 10, 15, like, bro, do this. I'm straight. Like, I'm not going. I remember Mike Will made it DM me like, bro, you gonna be back? No, I'm not. You know what I mean? I'm not coming back.
Did you ever try to tell them to go back?
No.
Okay.
Because again, I had just prayed for so many years, for God to, speak to him and move through him. And so despite me feeling the finances deplete a little, like I still was just so grateful in the peace that we had in our home, that we had in our marriage. Was priceless.
Yeah,
She was happy I wasn't partying. That's all it was.
No, it was more than that.
She was happy I wasn't out there no more. You know what I mean?
It was more than
I was
that.
at home. I was a stay-at-home dad, which I love. It was, again, that's why I say the father I have become. You know what I mean? So, but yes, we are making
I was
children's
happy to have him in our home, to have help with the children, to know that he was safe.
I was always safe. God got me. God got me.
The Lambo had him.
Yeah. Well, that's my favorite one, too. I love that one.
You know what? When I met him, his social media...
was Lambo Dreaming.
Yes, his
Lambo
social
Dreaming?
media handle was Lambo Dreaming.
That's my
yes.
social media handle, Lambo Dreaming. Now it's jrmckee.co. but that's what we're doing. I'm very happy with it. I'm very excited for like the quick growth, and I'm very happy to be able to spend all day with my babies, Yeah.
We're gonna put a link. We're gonna put a link in the description so people can be connected to you. I want you to grab this box.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't.
Grab this box, and there's 2 Sharpies in there. Grab one each, and one of those
Keys.
paper. Yeah, and then y'all can use the top of the box to write.
Okay.
And just write down a key to love. Just whatever you want to say, a quick
crazy?
phrase, a sentence, a word, whatever,
I
and
had
then
the answer. No, I don't.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
Well,
Let me
y'all-
think on that.
Yeah, y'all figure it out, and
Yeah.
while y'all do that, she and I talk. But then you just write it down, sign your name, and then
key
we'll
to
ask you
love.
to read it. Whatever you feel like a key to love is. You dropped a couple of them
Yeah,
already.
you guys.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
I
just-
think I know what I'm gonna say.
Yeah, so just drop that and then sign your name on it.
So what'd you think about this episode?
Well, I thought it was dope. I love the fact that I love when people give it up for Christ. Like literally say, it's vows that we say when we get married and say forsaking all others. And the hardest thing for a man to do is forsake, their finances. We're always built on making the money, chasing the bag, all that stuff. And to know that he had an accountability partner that literally told him, like, all right, well, if you watch all this Bishop Jakes all the time, why haven't you changed? Which is a seed that's planted in his heart that begins to challenge a man for greatness. And, he made the ultimate decision, but I also love the fact that you have this couple that literally prayer saved his life. God saved his life through prayer from a spiritual standpoint earlier on in the marriage, and then saved the physical being of Harry through prayer. And so I just love how God, in all his omniscience and omnipotence, he did his big one with this amazing couple.
Yeah.
What about you?
I want to hear what they have to say, but I love this episode. You already knew.
You the one that reached out and said, "Hey, let's get them."
Yeah,
let's get
how
them
his
on the
wife
podcast.
prayed and covered him. I love this
Amen.
whole journey.
Hey man, what you got there, Harry?
Baby, thanks for covering me.
You're
Yeah,
welcome, baby.
So
slide the microphone. It's like the mood. Yeah, the
So
tilt.
one of the things I've continually strive to do is love my wife the way that God loves me. You know what I mean? I know God sees us as his own image. He sees us as the image of Christ. And so that love, that agape love that he gives us, I try to let that flow through me. I try to let it pass through me. Like, okay, I can't love the way you love. So when you love me, I'm gonna try to just let it flow through me.
Right.
And so that I try to pass that love on to her. And so I just try to love her the way he loves me. So I just wrote down, let the love of God flow through you.
Let the love of God flow through you. And you signed your name, right?
Oh, let me sign.
Yeah. And then Maya, what you write?
I write my name. Okay. I wrote to trust in the Lord with all your heart, no matter what it looks like.
That's good.
And that's just like, that is my testimony.
Yeah, baby.
Through every season, of my life, I felt like God has kept me, and God has, protected me and provided for me. And like he said, like I was, what did you call me? A ball of fire?
Fireball.
A fireball, I have had a very traumatic past, childhood, etc. But I always knew, it would get better. And that was just, the faith that, I kept in knowing that, like, the Lord has me. Yeah. And so that's what I wrote.
That's good. Go and hang it up on the hooks over there. Yeah, this was amazing. We ended up doing a 2-hour episode, Ashley.
We did.
Yeah, it was 2 hours. It got so good that it was 2 hours in this episode.
Well, thank y'all for having us.
No, thank y'all for coming. Thank y'all for coming.
And we are so glad. We were praying, so we are so happy to see the manifestation of this healing.
Yeah, let me say that too. I want to thank everybody because the video did get millions, I think 35 million views, but
35 million?
Yeah, it's pretty much 10 on each platform.
Dang.
Yeah. But no, all the people that were like flooding us, calling us, my friends that called, all the prayers, I want to thank you, because even after we posted it, I wasn't out of the woods. I still had a long recovery. And I'm still not even, I'm like 85%. And so just thank y'all for all the people who prayed for us, for all the people, who covered us during that time, and even now during our marriage. Because like I said, marriage is not easy.
It's not for the weak.
You know what I mean? So thank God and thank y'all for continuing to cover our marriage. And I'm sure this post is going to be all how beautiful my wife is. So thank y'all in advance.
Good.
And I'm sorry, it was one thing that I didn't say, but I feel like it's very important to say. The biggest thing, that has my husband and I here, and that, keep our faith strong, is our community. And I think that was also the shift in my husband as well. Like, he talked about changing his environment, but also changing who you associate with is so important.
Absolutely.
Because like you said, he had that accountability partner.
Yeah.
And so, I want to, say that, like, don't be afraid, to make new friends and get a new circle. I know it's no new friends, out there in the world, but, to have, my community that I have, like, I'm a part of a Bible study group called the Superstar Blueprint, and we have 5:30 a.m. call every Thursday morning, and we have monthly meetups, and it's like women from all walks of life. It's women that are 70 something in there, it's girls who are 18, 19, fresh out of high school, but it's a safe space where, you can ask questions that you can't ask, or that you feel afraid to ask in church, or, where you can ask for prayer if you're struggling with certain things. And I know that he has a community as well. And like, I think that's been our saving grace, because, you can't talk to everyone about, your struggles in life, or, your struggles within your relationship, but, you can seek, godly wisdom through people. And so,
so good.
Community is very important.
I agree. That was one of the first things I sought out when I first, gave my life over to Christ, was that community. But we ended up having to build it ourselves, because I couldn't really find it. But yes, that, same way she has her Bible study group, I have our Bible study group, about 10, 15 guys. And I probably have cried to them more than I've cried to her. Yeah, like, we get on there and we talk about marriage, we talk about all that stuff. So she's right. That community, like, our calls are Mondays and Wednesdays, and that really hold me together. Yeah. For real. So if you are new or seeking that faith, like, finding your community is a safe space is very important. So I'm glad you did mention that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So listen, y'all, may the love you share today outlive the season you're in.
May it carry you through the days when words are few
and faith has to do the talking. Y'all give it up for the McKees, y'all. Y'all give it up for them, y'all.
Ladarian thrusted suddenly into Child Protective Services in 2015. My nephew, Black, a boy. The likelihood of being adopted outside of kinship, slim to none. Armani, 16 years old, Black, a boy, with 5 years in the foster care system before I even knew his name. The likelihood of ever being adopted, yep, you guessed it, slim to none. While Ladarian and Armani were trying to survive and barely thrive in an overpopulated and underfunded foster care system, I was living my own life, doing well professionally. Having been a single father with a daughter who at that point was doing well in college, it was my time to live my life, right? Wrong. I felt unsettled, tireless, agitated. There are just too many of our Black children stuck in ambiguity and in the limbo of the foster care system. In 2017, I legally adopted my nephew, Ladarian. Fast forward to 2019, I had no ties to this other young king, but I felt God instructed me to adopt him also, and I obeyed. Starting over with parenting should have been enough, right? Working with various foster care and adoption agencies to help bring awareness to the countless young Black kings in the foster care system should have decreased my agitation, right? Joining the board of directors of Advantage Adoption, an organization that helps find permanent adoptive homes for children in foster care, should have led to some type of resolve, right? No, not at all. None of it felt like I had done enough. I now realize that every one of those experiences was laying the fundamental foundation for my life's mission, Kingdom Royale. Kingdom Royale will be a luxury, state-of-the-art home for foster boys. Our first location will be in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex. We will utilize the whole person approach that instills identity, empowers them to advocate for themselves, and enlightens them regarding new perspectives and limitless options that they thought were impossible. Though the young kings will attend the local public schools that are in proximity to Kingdom Royale, our at-home curriculum will broaden their worldview through participating in the arts, attending various cultural events, learning about and engaging in multifaceted discussions about current events and even relevant historical context, introducing them to gardening and landscaping and even caring for our animals on our farm and on-site stables. We just launched our Startup Capital campaign with the goal of raising $2.8 million. Now, why $2.8 million? Well, in 2017, I created a web series in which I performed random acts of kindness for targeting the homeless community. One of the most notable successes was that one of the videos went viral, garnering 28 million views. However, one of my biggest regrets is that I didn't raise a single dollar to help in implementing a more sustainable plan for the homeless community. So throughout the years, with much remorse, I reflected on not maximizing that moment. I knew if at that time, just 10% of the viewers donated $1, we would have raised at least $2.8 million that could have really established long-term support for the homeless community, or at least started a long-term initiative to do so. This is my do-over. This is our new beginning. Together, we can attack this at the root by specifically helping our homeless Black boys who are already disproportionately represented in the American foster care system. I'm Laterras R. Whitfield. I've been nominated for 3 regional Emmys documenting my work with the homeless as well as my personal adoption journey. Despite those accolades, the greatest award for me is truly providing the infrastructure for a transformed life. Visit kingdomroyale.com for more details. Crown a king and make a donation today.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Dear Future Wifey podcast. Remember, be lit, live intentionally and transparently, and don't stop loving. Make sure to subscribe to our Dear Future Wifey YouTube channel. We're available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and Stitcher. We welcome your support. Simply share our podcast with your friends and family.